Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area. I am Mr. Bennett. I am joined by my partner, as always, Grooming and Reviews 101, aka the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panagiotis. Y'all so, my brother, what's going on?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, Makala, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Mm.
I'm good. How'd you spend your day today?
Working, working all day,
Man,
and it's goddamn brutal heat. It's not nice working in the kitchen, but hey, the chef got to do what a chef got to do.
that's right. That's right. That's
How about you,
right.
man?
A little work around the house. Actually, I spent uh, had some time to relax a little bit. I actually caught some auto racing. I grew up as a big auto racing fan, especially IndyCar. I was never that big into NASCAR, but I grew up as an IndyCar fan. So, like Mario Andretti, he was like my favorite race car driver of all time. And so I kind of got back into it leading up to the Indy 500. So I watched a
Mhm.
lot of the pole position, and I was so I just for this season I just got back into it. And then also at work, this lady there, I think she's Lithuanian, I believe, and she's into F1, like really a big fan of F1. So on the same day, you had the Monaco Grand Prix on, and so I had recorded and I went back and watched both days. Yeah, I do remember when Dale Earnhardt. I saw the now. I did get into NASCAR. Like I said, I didn't start out watching a lot of NASCAR, but obviously, some of the drivers, and certainly Earnhardt was certainly one of the legends in the sport. And I actually saw the race where he died. That was pretty jarring. Because especially when you saw it initially, it wasn't like it was like a big crash.
I
Like you've seen these
remember that
crashes where you
actually.
got like the car rips up into like 100 pieces or explodes into flames. It went into the wall, but I didn't think it was like, I
Yeah,
didn't think it
I
was like
actually
that.
remember watching. I was still living in New York at the time, and when I saw a crash, it was like just a net regular crash. Funny story. One of my high school teachers, my art teacher, actually, was at that race, and he said everybody was running to his podium and buying, from his car, whatever you call it,
Mhm.
buying. It was sold out because people knew something serious happened.
Right.
But don't forget, he also raced with open helmet camera, and that's before the harness and everything. All these
Right.
rules got infected.
Right.
So racing an open helmet and that, like in my personal opinion, that's suicide.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's like I'm thinking about those races like way back when they didn't have anything. Now the thing was they were going slower. Like if you go back to those
Mhm.
races in the 30s and the 40s, they were going like 110 miles an hour was considered like super fast. But once cars started cracking 200, certainly it got a lot more dangerous. And
So I know overseas, obviously in Greece, I'm talking about, of course. The two biggest type of racing is very popular is Grand Prix. I think I'm pronouncing that the
Grand
Grand
Prix,
Prix.
yeah, yeah. In fact,
Yes.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, I know there's a Grand Prix race in Athens,
Yeah.
so I wasn't sure like how popular is Formula One because it's definitely more of a European thing. I know,
Yeah.
here you have IndyCar and they have like road courses and ovals and
Yeah.
super raceways and whatnot.
If in theory, mechanical wise, the Indy cars and the Formula One are not that off. They're little here and not
Yeah,
little,
yeah, it's
like
yeah.
a thousand of an inch difference. Maybe this the Formula F1, Formula One to Formula One car in my
But
eyes.
it's interesting though, even though you say it's a thousandth of an inch,
That's how to make
it's
a big difference.
it's a multiple though in terms of cost because with Formula
Absolutely.
One, the cars you can like basically customize almost any car that you want to. That's what the formula is for. You can make your own specialized car. The
Hmm.
IndyCar series in the US, everything's standardized now. It used to be that way until like the early 2000s where it just became too expensive. So they have like most cars kind of come in a kit. So everybody gets the same kit. You can tweak it to an extent, but like the cost of an Indy car is like $300,000 just for like a plain car that you can then kind of work on. But Formula One could be like $30 million
Yeah.
for a
So,
Formula One car.
friends, one big difference about the Formula One and the Indy one, and please don't quote me. I'm not 100% positive on this one. But when I was into racing hardcore,
Mhm,
one was using they were using jet engines in it
mhm, mhm.
versus a regular V12 engine,
Right,
and that's
right, right.
like huge. You're talking about like 5,000 to 90,000. That's a goddamn fucking difference.
Yeah, like I said, you can in with Formula One, if you got the money, you can make as long as you're they have some guidelines, but you can hack way and make any engine that you want or whatever. I think all of the cars, because I was watching a car today, it seemed like all of them had the same chassis. But as far for the Monaco Grand Prix, I'm saying for the Monaco Grand Prix, like I said, IndyCar, everybody has the same chassis. Like I said, IndyCar, it's relatively inexpensive compared to F1 to have a team in an IndyCar circuit, but Grand Prix or F1, it's mad expensive. So you're talking about certainly for the ultra rich, and even in Monaco, like Monaco is like the most expensive country in the world or something like that, for as small as it is. And again, for the race itself, it's like I was watching a lot of the pre-race coverage, and all I saw was all these dignitaries and big people. George Lucas was there. He's a big fan of F1, and it just brings out like a lot of the celebrities. I know, soccer or football, as they call it over there, is pretty popular. So a lot of the footballers are there. So it really brings out like the uber rich, and it's like it's like the Kentucky Derby here in the U.S. It's very much an aristocratic sort of function. But I got to tell you, not having seen a race in a while is very boring because the one, they had a wreck like in the first lap. You had one guy spun out, and then they had a wreck on the first lap with like 4 or 5 cars. God, it's very congested. I mean, it's almost like you got to be a maniac to drive that, because all these cars are to the left and to the right of you or whatnot. It's not fast. It's just like it's like Derby almost to an extent. So
yeah, that's actually a good point to put that, because I've been to one professional race up here. Actually, I am at Pocono Speedway, and they're great races. But even watching, but you have so much to do there, so he's not sitting there. But one thing I do want to mention, the other big thing is, this is bigger than Formula One English, believe it or not. It's called Derby. It looks like pretty much like a 4-wheeler car, almost like a Volkswagen Golf, for example.
Yeah.
And they soup it up, obviously, and that's what they race. They actually put that in X Games recently too.
Yeah.
That type of racing, and that's huge in Greece too.
Yeah.
But back to the Formula One thing. Formula One, those guys have some balls. Like, I give them credit, because you think about it. It's like the helmet is protecting you.
Yeah, because they got they got the cameras in the cockpit, so you know exactly what's going on. And guys are like you hear everything. So the guy's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like you had this one guy who he literally went under another guy's car, because like the front of the car is like a wedge, right? So he somehow got under the car and flipped the guy over, and this was like his teammate. And so the guy was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? What are you doing? The car's ruined. I mean, it's got to be just insane to run those kind of very tight road courses where and to me, I'm like, how do you win? Because it's like, if you're in the middle of the pack, it's very hard to catch up. Like when you're on a super oval, you can just speed up. I mean, you can get into like a race. Like you don't have to be on front row to win. But it seems like in Formula One, it's like if you're not on first 2 rows, unless there's a wreck or something and you get wrecked, it's very difficult for you to be in the middle of the pack because of how tight it is to pass cars and everything else to get past another person. So I mean, my thing was like, it's not entertaining. And the second thing about Formula One, now Indy has this also. I don't think these guys really drive the cars anymore. If you look at the steering wheel, like all the controls and the gear shifts are on the steering wheel. It looks like,
I know what you're talking about now.
You have
video game, pretty much
like a controller, like a Game Boy.
I was saying Game Boy, more like a PlayStation or an Xbox.
It's like in your hand. So all the gear shifts are on like your thumbs. Like yes, you're turning the
the theory behind that. This is when I was really into cars, when I majored to cars, and this is one of my courses. And I asked the same question to my instructor, my professor. And he goes to me, there's a very simple answer why they moved everything from here to here on Formula One. Like NASCAR still has the regular shifters.
Yeah.
I go, why is that? He goes to me, Very simple. Those cars are going so goddamn fucking fast. You do not have time to reach down and shift every single time.
Right.
It's better just going click, 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 click on the buttons, like the Lamborghinis, for example.
Yeah, yeah, but I guess the issue though is like, again, part of the driving is the endurance of driving. So all those mechanical steps that you have to do in order to drive the car, I think you're taking something away when it's like if you're playing golf and you can go imagine like going to every hole in a cart, for example. Like in golf, you have to walk the course on the professional circuit. You can't like just unless you got like a medical reason or something. You can't just walk. There's a physical demand to the exercise, and I think if you take those things away, it looks like you might as well play the video game. Like I forget the name of the driving series on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, but it reminded me
You
that
mean the
that's
Tiger
basically
Woods
what you.
game?
What's that?
Tiger Woods?
No, I'm talking about the racing games. Like if you look at
Oh,
all those Formula One or racing Gran Turismo, yeah, it literally looks like that's what they're doing. I mean, it's not like you're not shifting gears or you're not pressing on an accelerator with your foot. You're not doing a lot of the things that what you would typically need to demand in a drive. So, like I said, it looks like you're playing a video game, especially when you have that camera view in the cockpit. So something about it, it made it a little bit less enjoyable in that these guys are like, and you're still wrecking. So again, it's like you're playing a video game, but you're still getting into wrecks. And so I didn't find it as exciting as the Indy 500, which was today. And that race literally ended in the last 3-4 laps. It was that exciting at the end. The guy won by like less than a second to win the race. And the guy Newgarden, he won. He's a back-to-back champion. He won it last year as well. And again, almost similar scenario last year, except it was a lot tighter. But my wife, who doesn't even watch auto racing, we were looking at the end of the race. She's like, oh, she was like, oh my gosh. So very exciting stuff. So I think I'm back to watching at least the super speedways anyway. Like I said, road course stuff, I'm not a huge fan of, but the super races where the cars are going 220 and up on the track. I mean, that to me, that took me back to my childhood watching because back then the races weren't even live. Like the race would run during the day and they used to play it at night, and they would like cancel Sunday night movie or whatever, and they would play the replay. So you didn't want to back then. You didn't have as much media, but you didn't want to listen to anything. You didn't want to watch anything because you didn't want to know who won the race. You wanted to watch the race that night to figure out who won it. But now they do everything live. And but again, it was a very exciting race. And so I think they got me back into the action. But it was nice just to get caught up on all of the caught
let me
up on
ask
all
this question, Paul.
the entry
How
driving.
do
Yeah.
you feel about NASCAR?
NASCAR, I go in and out of love with. I
Okay.
remember I was somewhat of a fan of Jeff Gordon. And so I followed it because he was new, because NASCAR kind of had this kind of, for lack of a better word, it kind of had like this sort of redneck reputation. And I know that Jeff Gordon, he's from California, kind of like the new age type of guy. And then you also had Dale Earnhardt Jr., and you had a lot of these young guys who were kind of getting away from the image of the spitting in the cup and sipping on their skull tobacco, and just a lot of that kind of hit country sort of thing. So it kind of appealed to me a bit, and so I got into it certainly in the 2000s. I got into NASCAR um, pretty heavy, and then I kind of went out of it again, and then I go back and forth with NASCAR on any given day, especially if there's nothing else on. I can certainly get into the racing, but the main thing with me that always inspired me though was the speed. Now, growing up with the car technology, the speeds at IndyCar went up like every year. Like I remember when they first broke 200 on the track. And then every year it went up 210, 215, 220. It got up to almost 240 miles an hour. And then they kind of stopped it. So it's almost like I was expecting by now that we'd be having 300-mile-an-hour race cars at this point. So, but they
The
said it's
problem with
too
that
fast.
is
It's too
it's way too fast. They can't control the
exactly,
car.
exactly. So, but
Point you can drive on
growing
the
up,
building, going straight
you
up the building.
yeah, but growing up, like I said, in my teens especially, it was something that you look forward to every year. Who's gonna break the speed record this year? It was like built in because it was going up every single year, and nobody expected it to sort of get to a point where it plateaued off. And eventually it had to come to that, and that kind of lost some of its appeal. In fact, they made the car slower. And then you had like in 2006, 2007, kart split from the main, and then you had the Indy Racing League, which still owned the Indy 500. You had the kart cars with Roger Penske and those guys. Those guys typically went faster. The Indy cars got slower, and then they kind of had this sort of dueling league, but it didn't work out, so they had to recombine. They came out with the standard chassis, and then they've been working pretty much with the same chassis since 2012. They've been having the same chassis, and everyone's it's kind of unified now. But that was part of the excitement. I couldn't wait until the next year to see who was going to break the pole record this year. Now the cars are kind of leveling out about 235 or so. They're kind of in that range right now, which is fast. I mean, it's definitely especially when you're on the ground seeing it, it's definitely fast enough. But in your mind, it's like, when they're gonna break 250, when they're gonna break. It was just, you got spoiled there for about like I say, a 10-15 year period where those speeds were like since the late 70s and then up through the 90s. They were going up. I think they might have go up to 239. I think was I think Emerson Fittipaldi. He set the record for the speed. I think he got like 239 on the track, and the car they had then was like a sick car. I think they almost put like a jet engine in that car. That's how fast it was. And then they were like, and then they were like, yeah, we're not talking about the fastest car on record. I'm talking about the fastest in IndyCar, Joshua. So yes, and I don't know if that's even a car because that's going like in a straight line. So I don't know. Can you turn on in that 700?
I'm not mistaken. That had a jet engine too, like a literally like a plane coming out of it. Like
that jet car was insane. But it's a straight course. You better not.
What I was going to say was, when I was younger, I was really into NASCAR. I mean, I love it. NASCAR 500. Jeff Gordon was my dude. I don't care. He made me. People call him all these names. Guess what?
Yeah.
He won races. I don't give a shit. And he won me a lot of fucking money. So fuck you to all you guys.
But he was like the new, look, shout out to Richard Petty and AJ Foyt and all those old school drivers from back in the day, Dale Earnhardt, all the look, they're the pioneer. They're the pioneers of the sport. But Jeff Gordon was like, at the time, he was like the Gen X. He was like the next guy,
the reason people didn't like him, he was a city boy, and he came into a country sport. Yeah. Nobody liked that.
He wasn't from Texas or Alabama or anything like that. He was just, so again, but him and a few guys of that generation, I think they certainly broke the mold of what we were used to. So, shout out to those guys. But obviously, that's not what the show is about tonight. It's not about race car driving. We're going in a totally different direction, but it was fun.
We do have to do a show about racing one day. That's gonna be a good show.
Yeah. But it was good to get caught up on that stuff. But Formula One, I was like, this is just too many crashes, too many starts. I mean, you're waiting around for like an hour and a half because the parts went all over the street. It took them about an hour to clean everything up. So I'm like, man, this is
very last note before we go into our actual real topic. I remember back in the day, I'm not sure if they still do this. If you were in a I don't know how many laps. I would like, well, maybe let's say 5 for argument's sake, so the conversation. If it was still early enough in the race, maybe like 5 or 10 laps into the race, and your car got totaled, you couldn't bring out your backup car and go ahead. And that's why you always race. You always practice both cars just in case you had to bring the backup out. Now, I don't think they do that anymore. I think they took that rule. They changed that rule. If your car crashed, you're out. And now they have more of the point system. You can win championships with a point system. You can only win like 3 races of a year and still be a champ. I'm like, that kills the point of the racing.
Yeah, the point system. Well, I think it's like a NASCAR. I don't think you even need to win a race.
No, you do. You need to win at least one or 2 races.
It looked like, because I know there was like guys who won multiple races but still didn't wind up the champ because, again, each race had a different weight to it. And then again, like your
Now the way they
placings, your
have
points
broken
and
out,
all
because I
that.
looked into it recently, you
Mm.
have to win 1 or 2 races, but you have to at least, if you win at least, let's say 2 or 3 races, or you at least have to finish the top 3. You don't have to win. But I don't like that. Like, I remember when Jeff Gordon won, for example, the last championship, I remember it was 04, I think, 05.
Right.
And he won 95% of his races.
Oh no, he was sick that year. I mean, he was like in this, but the thing about it, just like other people in other endeavors, the one thing I never got about the racing thing is like you could be on top for so long, and then for some reason you can fall off. You know what I mean? It's like once Jeff wasn't the man anymore, he couldn't become the man again. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's not meant for you to be. Even Dale Earnhardt, he ran, won 7 Winston Cup titles or something like that. And so he was like always a threat to win it. But it was like even still, even up to the day he died, I don't think he was like a contender for it. Like you had newer drivers who was sort of taking that mantle from him, and it's hard to capture it. So it's like you're on top for a while. You seem like you got the formula, you figured it out, and then it just you lose your mojo or you lose your edge or whatever it is, and you can't get it back. See, now Joshua was saying this guy Austin Dillon won a championship and never won a single race. Yeah, I thought at least there was a time when NASCAR had that system.
It was
set up.
a time at one time.
I don't know if it was the Winston series or the whatever the series names that came after that. But it was convoluted. But that's the thing with me also. I don't care necessarily about championships when it comes to racing. I never did. My thing is I would give up any championship that you want for winning the big ones. Like give me the Daytona 500, give me the Indianapolis 500, give me the Brickyard 400, like like the Super Bowl.
It's funny you mentioned the 500 because Earnhardt, that was his kryptonite, pretty much. He could not fucking win that race, so he finally won it. It was like, I can't remember what year he won it, and he didn't win it. I don't think he won a championship. Right. That's all he cared to finish his career off, win a goddamn 500. Yeah, and when he won it,
but that's like it. Like you win that, it's like you're immortal. It's like it doesn't matter what you do necessarily with the rest of your career. Like if you go to your grave saying, "Look, I won the Indianapolis 500," you in that special category. And pick up a championship here and there. Maybe one. Like Mario Andretti only won 1 Indy 500, but I think he won. I think the championship maybe 2 or 3 times in his career or something like that. But again, he wasn't over that. All I know is the fact that he won that one lone championship and he couldn't get another one. He was close so many times to getting another one that he couldn't get it back. But again, the fact that he's got one, that was like more than enough for him to get that action in. But before we go on, again, just want to say thank you. Again, we definitely got into a tangent at the beginning of the show, but again, welcome everyone to the Gray Area. Good to see everybody on this Memorial Day weekend. Shout out all you guys. Guys, if you served in the military, certainly salute to you guys today. If you know someone who lost someone in service to the military, again, appreciate the service of those guys. So, shout out to those on this Memorial Day weekend. But shout out to the chat that's joined us tonight. So again, Stacy B79 always joining us. Almanize, thank you for stopping by tonight. Joshua, as always, good to see you interacting in the chat, keeping it live. Appreciate you being there tonight. Who else we got in here? Hunting Wisdom, appreciate you coming on as well. Roller Skater Texas Girl, good to see you tonight as well. M. Constantin, good to see you tonight as well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And again, as you see at the bottom there, you see our Cash Apps going by. Again, any support that you give us, we greatly appreciate it. But more importantly than that, we ask that you support the BMU network. So drop a Cash App to the network or become a member of the network. Certainly help us to certainly grow this channel. And we appreciate the support that we get on this show as we talk about just common topics, looking for the gray area, the common ground between cultures and whatnot. But tonight, again, I got to give my man Grooming credit for this topic tonight. So going in a totally different directions. Okay, so forget about NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One. Forget about all of that. We may follow up on this again in another show. I didn't know we generate the heat that we did with it, but we're talking about food tonight.
Well, racing and food goes hand in hand. But before we get into that, I gotta give a shout out to somebody before we go in, because it is Memorial Day. I have to give him his shout out. My brother, Wolfie. I know he's looking down on us, so I gotta give him his shout out. He passed away a few years ago in his service, so I gotta give him a shout out. He's like a brother of mine, so if I don't give him a shout out, I know he's looking after him, and I miss him, of course. So I gotta give him shout outs out there. Respect. So yeah, food, my subject, of course. You can't talk food without a Greek chef. Come on. I got a chef, and I do have a fellow chef in the comments. I expect her to join it. Food. Food is a big part of my life. I make my money off it. Simple.
Absolutely. Sure.
But food is also great therapeutical. You're having a bad day, get a burger, get some wings, grab a gyro. No pun intended. All this stuff is so, to me, food is like, but you have to pick a cuisine. Which one do you think is the best cuisine out there? And I know we're gonna butt heads on this one.
The best cuisine that's out there? That's a tough one for me. I mean, the best cuisine is really what I,
crave at the moment.
Yeah. If I had to go for one group, I would probably say Italian. If you're going to pin me to one thing, I may say a good Italian meal or restaurant or whatever. I mean, that is certainly very satisfying. But look, I'm a seafood man. I mean, I eat everything I see, so I can rock with a lot of different. I can rock. What did I say?
I hate fucking fish. That's why
I said you didn't get the joke. You didn't get the joke. I said I'm a seafood man, meaning I eat everything that I see.
Okay, the whole I got it. I didn't catch it.
You gotta get a rim shot. You gotta get a rim shot sound effect. Play the rim shot next time. No, that's the boing. No, the rim shot.
That's the best I got for you. How about this one?
There you go. That's the rim shot. There you go. So yeah, I would have to go there. On any given night, though, nothing beats a steak. For me, steak, medium well to well. Sometimes I got to, depending on the place, sometimes I got to say, I have to say well to get it to medium well. Because if you say medium, it comes out too red for me sometimes. So I'm definitely not, my steak, it doesn't have to be.
That is an old chef tricks, actually. So they always cook it under for a purpose. The reason we always cook a little under is for three major reasons. One, we don't know how long you're sitting in that window. Number one. Number two, from the point it leaves my grill into my window into the customer's table is a delay. It is what's called a carryover heat. When you mean a carryover. So if say chicken is supposed to be cooked at 165 by law, but I cook it at 160. The reason I have the 5 temperature carryover, it doesn't dry off. I mean, same thing with burgers, steaks, and everything else. I tell people, keep it 5 degrees under on a purpose. I have literally fired people for that shit. So they come out, if you get a burger from me, you tell me medium, I got you. And I'm telling you, it's going to be perfect every single time. I have people come to me, customers saying, look at me, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm wearing a chef uniform and you're not. I go, what's the problem, sir? And he goes, this is not medium. So you haven't said the medium I cook professionally is a medium. The medium you cook at home is not professionally. There's two different ideas. That's what you have to keep in mind. So if you like it more well done, I get it. Some people don't like, forget the dietitian part of me saying, this is better for you. Yeah, but what do you enjoy? If you enjoy well, who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? But cooking wise, you have to keep it at certain temperatures.
Right.
Let's say a medium, 165, 170 is usually the ballpark number. Or you do the old hand touch method. So if you do it at 160, it carries over the 5 degrees. You're safe. Now, that's 2 reasons. The third reason is if it's, let's say, not fully cooked, I can put it back in the oven and finish it off for you. and bring it back to your table.
But the first impression though, it kind of ruins it. Like
I
ordered
totally
mediums,
understand that.
and if I still see blood on it or whatever, you could take it back and finish it off. But I'm already disappointed. And again, a lot of times it depends on where I'm at, like what my expectation is. Like you can get a steak from Outback versus getting one from like Ruth Chris or whatever. If I go to Ruth Chris, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, Del Frisco's or whatever for a steak, it should be perfect for the money that you're asking for that particular cut. You know, you want like, some of these folks want 75, 100, $125 cut for a particular steak. If you're going to charge me that kind of money, then it should come out perfect. Outback, I might be like, look, yeah, it's a little under, it's a little over, whatever. So again, or if I get it from a diner, it may not come out. But again, my expectations aren't that high. But if I'm going to spend nearly $100 for a steak, then that steak better be perfecto.
So here's 2 rules on steaks I always tell everybody. So steak, rule number 1, don't goddamn squeeze my meat down. If you push it down, people do it all the time. It drives me up the fucking wall. I have literally demoted your ass and put you in a dish when we do that. The reason you don't want to take all the flavor, the juice out, are you on crack? I tell people. I become a Ramsey at that point. Start like losing it when I see that. Burgers is the biggest one. People squeeze them. Stop fucking doing it, but cook fast. I don't care.
Right.
Give it. Let me ask you a question, Paul. As a customer, all right? And I know you're not a professional cook like me. As a customer, if the burger or steak or whatever you have meat-wise, it's on a grill, all right? Mm-hmm. It takes an extra 5 to 10 minutes, and it's nice and juicy. It's perfect. Versus somebody's pushing it down, taking all the juice, and it's more dry, and you're losing half your flavor. Which one you prefer?
Well, it depends. Now, is it a fresh burger or is it frozen? Because I don't mind being like, I worked in a McDonald's for 4 years, so I understand that you had to. I understand, frozen patties or whatever. Yeah, you do that initial sear initially to kind of get it, going, and help finish it off. But that's again a frozen patty. But if you're talking about going to like a gourmet burger spot where they're using like a fresh patty, not frozen meat or whatever, yeah, there's no need to sear that. But I can understand with a frozen, you may need to do that just to make sure that it's
another rule I tell all my guys is, if you're cooking burgers, I'm gonna use burgers for example because we're on that subject. And they say you have 2 packs in, and you're gonna blow through that like that. Mm-hmm. Why don't you pull more out? I hate when people cook frozen meat. Mm-hmm. It drives me up a goddamn wall. I don't understand why people do that. It just drives me up the wall. I know Burger King does it. I know Wendy does it.
McDonald's definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Five Guys does not do it. They bring fresh and they roll it by hand. I know that. Mm-hmm. There is a thing is called a burger presser, pretty much. You put the burger meat in the middle.
Yeah.
And you push it down and it gets the perfect size every time.
Right.
But the problem with that is not compressed like the machine, like you get in a factory.
Yeah.
It might break down. So I always recommend people just pile them up and put something on top of it. Literally grab a weight and go, come on. I'm like, seriously? Yeah, put a weight over it. I'm like, why do you do that? It will compress everything. Trust me.
Right.
So you want it to be like same thing.
Yeah.
But I try to get the fresh ones from the butcher. He pushes out. See, does the same thing like every other thing. But again, I don't care if fresh or not. Don't push your meat down. It will take all the juice out. And the juice is the flavor.
Right. Right. Now I hear you. Now let me ask you this: since you have a background, being a chef and everything, would be burger.
I don't brag or anything.
If you're going to a butcher to get ground beef, what are you putting in there? If you want to make the perfect, what cuts? I'm talking about the old school butcher who would put the meat in a meat grinder, and you would actually see the ground beef being made because he would just take slabs of beef or meats or whatever, different cuts or whatever. Because you got a guy around the corner from me. He'll do that. He'll take 4 different cuts and put them in the grinder, and you see the meat coming out. So it's just a halal place, and put it up. So if you were going to do your perfect burger, would it be sirloin? Would it be what cuts of beef are you going to use to make that sort of perfect hamburger for you?
You're going to call me crazy when I tell you this. It will be I'm going to ask him for a tomahawk steak, and I want to clean that up and use that as ground beef.
A tomahawk steak, wow.
Because that is the best cut. I don't like, again. It's always in preference
Yeah.
too. I know some people love.
It's mad expensive. I mean,
I love
Kobe
it.
beef is the only thing that I know is more expensive than that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Kobe is ridiculous, but yeah, it
So the other second one I would probably go to would probably be like a T-bone steak,
mhm,
and like that, because those two steaks don't carry a lot of fat.
right.
The thing with most steaks used here is all fat. It's all fucking fat.
Mhm,
And like that's why they're so cheap at Burger King or like stuff like that. Like you
mhm,
eating fat.
yeah,
And that's why people who eat burger are like I know some guys who go, they run to McDonald's, got a couple bucks, the dollar menu is fast, it's easy. Eventually they have heart problems. I wonder
yeah,
why.
yeah.
The
Now,
same.
typically, now what the burgers what do you typically get? You get an 80, 85, 90%. What do you typically go for?
It really depends
Because
on
I
how
think
I'm.
you need some fat to have it flavorful. I mean, yes,
Absolutely.
you got to have some fat in there for the flavor. So what's your? I can
So
do 80. I can do
it really
85.
depends. There's a lot of
90
things
is a little
factors.
too lean for me.
90 is good for home when you're
Mhm.
watching or eating stuff like that. I would like to say more like a 50-50. The reason I say 50-50, it holds it really well together. It gives you
Yes,
the flavor.
definitely.
So you have to get the right mixture. The company, the meat you get your meat, it has a makes difference. I get my meat from BJ's,
Mm.
just because I have a membership and I know the meat's pretty decent, goddamn decent. Work wise, forget it. It's Russian roulette. I order it and whatever I get in. I don't know what I'm getting half the time is because it depends on the day.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
I seen burgers, I mean, 8 ounces so thin on a paper, it only take literally less than 2 minutes to cook off. Oh, I seen something as fat as this big, and it takes me about 20 minutes to cook it off. It really depends. I can't really answer that correctly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Now, let me ask you this question: as somebody who grew up in this country, didn't live overseas, what is your top 3 to go to foods?
Like that steak.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never go wrong with a steak. Like I said, Italian. I can do a lot of different Italian meals, and probably Asian. You know,
Okay.
Chinese, Korean barbecue. Something in that, and then just for a delicacy. I mean, look, so as an ADOS member, soul food. I mean, I don't eat it often, but it certainly special occasions or whatnot. Yeah, bring the soul food. I mean, that's definitely
Okay. So
in it as well.
we talked about steak, so let's get that out of the way already.
Mhm.
So let's talk about for the Italian. Italian cuisine is great, very easy to make. I'll be honest with you, it's very easy as a chef to make it.
Right.
The
And it has a
sauce,
lot of variety. I mean, it's the
yeah,
pasta. Like, you don't just think about pastas, right? It's the fish, it's the seafood, it's
yes. I
they
was
have a
going to
lot
talk
of
about the
variety
pasta
there.
for 1 second here
Mhm.
because you have different sauces. Like people think you have to make vodka sauce, you have to put vodka. No, vodka is flavors actually, believe it or not.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
don't really have to. A best vodka sauce is actually using cream and marinara and garlic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a little secret.
Yeah.
But the sauces are the trick. If you can nail the perfect sauce, everything. My marinara, people have literally asked me to buy my recipe up, and I won't give that out for a
Mm.
reason. And
Mm.
that is a challenge to somebody we know who's part of this network. She thinks she can make a better sauce than me. The challenge is put out there. So let's go to blow for blow, Mrs. You know who you are. I'm just gonna leave it to that.
Right.
So anyway, back to what I originally was saying is my my sauces are always very extreme. People think it takes so much work. No, it doesn't take a lot of work. You just need a pot or a pan. Very simple.
Right.
Some amount of time consuming. Marinara takes minutes.
Yeah.
And it's great. So now you said Asian. Asian is tricky, believe it or not.
Mhm.
You can fuck up Asian so goddamn easily.
Mhm.
It's not even funny. And you got to be, this is the chef out of me now. If you have, do you have any of your family daughters have allergies in the house?
Yeah, 2 of my daughters have allergies. The one, she can eat almost anything, but she has lactose intolerance, so she can only handle certain foods. Not too many heavy creams and stuff like that. She doesn't.
Okay, good. So good you tell me that because that's one thing I would say about Asian food. There are a lot of allergies in the food in there.
Mhm.
So you gotta be very careful.
Yeah.
Like I seen people put, creams and all that stuff. My instructor who taught me martial arts, he actually cooked legit Asian food. I mean, Chinese and Japanese. And he usually roll his own sushi and everything.
Yeah.
And people think pork fried rice. Well, we're used to here is frying it. No, it's not fried. It's actually more a paste. Like that's the best way I can explain it. The second place I had the best Chinese. It was not in New York. It's not in Pennsylvania. It was in Washington D.C. where I was in vacation a couple years back.
Right.
A quick fun story. So we drove up to, we met my friends. So I picked them up from the Virginia base. So we got to the hotel.
Right.
The first thing is that we're hungry. I'm like, yeah, I am starving too. I drove 3.5 hours. Let's get something to eat and go. Let's go to Chinese. I'm like, seriously, we're in fucking DC. You were in Chinese? Like, yeah. I'm done arguing. Let's go. So like down the street was Chinese place. We're down and eat. And I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking good. It reminded me of my instructor. So when you order, I ordered sesame chicken and sesame pork fried rice. I thought there was 2 separate meals, but no, they're one meal each. So the pork fried rice came with a side of white rice, and my other rice came with another side of white rice. Like, what the fuck is going on? And that is how they do it over the seas.
Right.
So I end up calling my best friend, one of my best friends, like Shannon. I go, yo, what the hell's going on here, dude? Explain to me. This is your world. He goes, welcome to my world. He goes, this is how it's supposed to be at a real Chinese restaurant.
Right.
And I learned something new too.
Yeah, and in a lot of places, it's tricky. Is like where you get it. Like you can't measure like with some fine dining. Like it doesn't necessarily go with Asian food. You know what I mean? It's like the best tasting food is going to come from some little hole in the wall somewhere. I don't know what they do.
Bingo.
I don't know what they put in it. But like Italian, you can go up the scale with Italian, you know what I mean? Or like you can go up, like I said, with a steakhouse. You can go, sort of up the scale with that. But there's certain foods, I mean, I've gotten stuff from street cart vendors that's just unbelievable. Back when I was at college, we used to have we call them the grease trucks at Rutgers. And you would go there like late at night, midnight, you go there, the trucks are open, you get a gyro, you get a burger, you get something. I don't know what they put in that stuff. It could have been the most poisonous stuff ever. I have no idea. But
where was this?
So good, But yeah, Rutgers, New Brunswick, right? They used to have, but before they cleared everybody out. But
funny story. So I was out drinking with my cousins and everything, like a group of us, friends of us. So it was late at night. So the place I used to go to, some of you guys, I said it before on the channel, I'm gonna say it again. It's called King Souvlaki. So this is when he first got struck. He got a brand new truck, invested so much money before he opened the restaurant. So I go up to the truck. They're in the middle of a shift switch. There were 24 hours of operation.
Right.
So I go, and he goes, Malaka. And he comes out like, the fuck you want, man? The Yitos. He goes, what else? That's it. He don't know what the fuck I'm hearing. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? I go to him like, you're fat. That's why. I'm like, the fuck? Take my money, dude. Like, my point trying to get with that is, like, if you're ever in New York, seriously, check them out. Anybody's watching King Souvlaki. It was one of the best places ever.
Yeah,
it reminds me of
them. Like I said, a lot of, especially you mentioned New York. I mean, the best pretzel I ever had, the best bagel like I ever had. I mean, coming from guys like on the street, not going into like a typical place, not a Panera Bread or anything like that. I mean, there's just so many of these guys. Again, I don't know what they're putting in there. It could be MSG. I don't know what they're putting.
So it's funny story you say that.
Here's
the funny thing. Around a corner from my house, literally, I can walk there. It's a place called El Taco. I'm gonna walk by. So hold on, what you never walk if you walk past it. I walked past it for years. I never realized he's been there over 20 years. He always has tres leches. It's a chocolate Mexican cake. I'm not mistaken. I might apologize to any Latinos out there if I'm butchering it. My bad. So these tacos are fucking delicious. And I looked at him like, shit. I've been passing this shit fucking years. I never realized you guys were here. The only downfall, he's closed on Sundays. I'm like, that's the most busiest day. Me personally, as a businessman, thinking as a chef, like Sunday's my most busiest days. But whatever, that's not not my business. But he has one of the best tacos I ever had.
Yeah.
And don't tell me Taco Bell's tacos, because I'm gonna yell at anybody who said that.
Yeah. In fact, guys, drop in the chat. I know Roller Skate, Texas Girl talks about I like gas station kebabs from 7-Eleven. In the chat, if there's a spot that's like literally a hole in the wall, but they have the best whatever it is, drop it in the chat. So again, no, it doesn't have to be a famous place or whatever, but whatever they have there, it is just to die for. You don't go there often because, like I said, they'll probably kill you if you had too much of it. But what is your favorite hole in the wall that you found? And I know some people have been outside of the country. It could have been a place internationally, but wherever the place was, drop it in the chat if you know of some good places that you remember that had a great whatever it was, a great food item that you just loved getting back in the day. That would I think that'd be good to share with everybody.
So here's the other one I was going to mention too. Two other places. I know they're not holes in the wall, but they have really good fucking food. One is the dessert food, Krispy Kreme.
All right. Now I get mixed reviews on that. I like it. I remember I got my first Krispy Kreme I had maybe about 10 years ago. Because again, keep in mind, like they weren't back then, they weren't in the Northeast. They were mostly, you had to go south. So I was in Virginia and I had my first Krispy Kremes then. I like them, but it's like you either love Krispy Kreme or you hate them. I grew up Dunkin' Donuts, man, because they had those all over the Northeast. But Krispy Kreme, I was like, oh man, like I used to, when I would go south, guys would reach out to me and say, look, if you're gonna be in the south, if you go by Krispy Kreme, grab me some Krispy Kremes and bring them back with you. I'll pay you.
So two things on that. One, being I need a new co-house because Paul is gonna be exit to this channel very soon because of that comment he just made. Mm-hmm. So the second one is you have to eat them fresh. That's the trick on that. So one thing I like about Krispy Kreme, when they make them, they have a light, ding, it turns on when they're fresh. This is Krispy Kreme fresh, something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been there. The closest one to me is in Scranton. That's about a 45 drive from me, I think. But that you have to eat them fresh. If you don't eat them fresh, if you sit it for like a couple of days, they taste like shit afterwards. There's no point. I can literally eat a dozen by myself. And that's how good they are.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's like I said I like them. If I'm in an area now, they got them up here. They do have them in the Northeast. I know there's one spot I used to work up in Union, and they had one there. And they also have this thing where it's like they have these fundraisers. So just like the kids who sell the Girl Scout cookies, you can participate in a fundraiser where you can just sell a certain several boxes of Krispy Kremes and raise money for a charity organization.
Yeah, I remember that it was a thing back in New York. No, up here in high school, you used to order. You had to order them ahead of time. Like I think it was like $5 for a dozen, some shit like that, and they would deliver the day off or something like that. It was actually not a bad idea. Actually, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. King Jersey, yep, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Krispy Kreme Union on Route 22. I used to pass by there every morning, going to work. But
do they make them in Fat House?
What's that?
That Krispy Kreme, do they make them in house? Some Krispy Kreme do not make them in house.
That I don't know. I never been in there. I just knew it was there. But that almost, to an extent, that almost ruined the experience for me. It's almost like Waffle House, for example. There's no Waffle Houses like in the North. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Waffle Houses are like a New Jersey, New York thing. At least I've never seen one up here. But it's almost like when you go south, you gotta go to a Waffle House. Same thing with Krispy Kreme. For all that time, it's like when you got them, it was kind of special. Now that they're in New Jersey, you can go to Walmart, and they got boxes of them that sell them in the Walmarts now. Pre-made and all that kind of stuff. It kind of lost some of its appeal. Like when it came up here, like I said, guys stopped asking me, "Hey, pick me up 3 boxes of Krispy Kremes and all that." So it was almost like a thing to it because I would go down to like Virginia, North Carolina. I used to go there a lot. And so it kind of lost some of the appeal that when I saw the one in New Jersey. Initially, I was like, "Oh, cool, they're here. I don't have to go anywhere." But then it kind of lost some of the specialness when it came here. King Jersey saying that they are in fact house made in New Jersey. So yeah. So I may swing through there. But definitely when I saw that,
like I said, Paul, if you have to ask them how long is it sitting. If they're say like maybe an hour tops, get them. If they've been there for a while, don't even bother.
Yeah, yeah, for real, for real. But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk. Well, two main topics I want to talk about when it comes to food. One is the importance of food to culture, in particular. So, in your case, you being Greek,
Mhm.
um, the dinner table, or the family gathering, or what have you. How
Family dinner, in other words.
the family dinner, if I was going to ask you, do you guys have family dinners like that? Talk about that a little bit as far as that tradition. What is traditionally served at a traditional Greek dinner, of that kind of ilk, and it doesn't have to be around like Thanksgiving, or because now it's like everyone kind of combines. So like Thanksgiving, yeah, you'll have turkey and all that, but then you'll have your Greek stuff or Italian stuff or whatever else you make on the side. If I'm talking about like a classical traditional Greek dinner, or say like doing Easter, your Orthodox Easter, for example.
Okay, so we talk about
Talk about that.
holidays more, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Okay.
what kind of the sort of traditional fare that you may find at
Okay,
in a Greek
so
setting.
in every holiday, we have one thing in common always. It's lamb.
Mhm.
Lamb is a huge thing in a Greek culture. So we always have a salad in every meal. Don't care who you are, salad has to be on the table, or you're not Greek. Simple. So it has to be, onion, cucumber, and so on. Feta has to be in the salad. You
Mhm.
might not have onion or cucumber, but feta has to be, and it has to be imported. If it's not imported, it's not Greek. If you get one from a store, like say Walmart or another, like that's not real feta. You have to go down to like a New York place, like a Titan or Mediterranean, and get it. It's like $20 a pound. So let's get that out of the way. I eat this little vent I have to. I hate when people say I got feta from Walmart. So it's always lemon honey potatoes are usually one of
Mhm.
them. Some people
Lemon
just do
honey
lemon, some people
potatoes?
honey. I'm sorry.
Interesting. Lemon honey potatoes?
Correct. It's not a
Interesting.
lot of honey. You don't taste the honey. It's got a teaspoon or two. It's very small. Like it help take out the bitterness off it of the lemon. So that's one. Another one is also a pasticcio and moussaka is always no pasticcio and spanakopita. So for some reason, Greeks love overwarming their plates with a lot of carbs.
Mhm.
Both have a lot of carbs. So pasticcio, it's breadcrumbs, cream, ground beef, noodles, cream, ground beef. It's like the Greek version of a lasagna.
Mhm.
Um, the argument between Greeks and Italian who invented what first was
Mhm.
lasagna invented first or pasticcio. Depends which historian you want to believe in. They're
Right.
both, or there's no actual date on it.
Right.
So with now that's carb one. That's about 100 plus carbs in that one. That's this big. So maybe more than that. Now you have the spanakopita. Spanakopita has phyllo, cheese, spinach mixed in, eggs, and some more seasonings,
Mhm.
dill, and phyllo again, baked again. This sucker's like about this big if you make it correctly.
Mhm.
That's down. Now you have the leg of lamb. All right. So that thing is like the turkey. You have to, excuse me, you have to cook it for hours and hours and
Now, do you
hours.
brine it? Do you how do you like prepare it before it
How
goes in?
I personally do, I use garlic like about my pinky toe, pinky, not pinky, my small nail.
Yeah.
I stab the lamb
You
and I
put it
shove.
into the okay, yeah.
Yep.
Use
Then I have
like an injector gun? Like you use a
my
food
hands.
injector?
My
Okay.
hands. I use a whole big ass garlic piece like this big.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't ground it down. And then I rub it with seasonings like salt, pepper, oregano, dill, and so on.
Mhm.
And it's the water in the pan, wrap it, and put it in the oven. And the trick I learned with turkey and lamb, if you put it at 300, that's low heat,
Mhm.
and let it cook overnight slowly, it comes out perfect by 11 p.m.
Mm.
So that's a little. I put my turkey for Thanksgiving about between 8 and 9 p.m. the night
Mhm.
before. I
Right.
put enough water in the pan. I wrap it really well, and I throw it in the oven. I prepped it, put seasonings on all that stuff.
Right.
300
Right.
overnight. It's never.
So even Greeks though, you guys still do turkey now? Is turkey even a part of Greek diet? Outside of if Thanksgiving wasn't on the table, would you guys eat turkey?
No. That okay. I'm gonna get to the turkey thing because I got another vent from it into that one. So that's the small side of family.
Right.
Now it depends. If you want to get more technical, you could do tripitaka, Greek Spanish pies. That's on one side of the table. Then you can do different types of cheeses. You know this stuff. It's think of how the Italians have 7 fish. We have 7 carbs.
Right.
Bread has to be on the table too because
Right.
you have to push your food with the bread. I'm like,
Right. Now, what kind of bread do you guys typically use?
oh, it has to be the Greek version of Italian bread. That's the best way I can explain it. It's long like Italian, but it's fat like this big.
Okay.
Now, like it's Greek bread, I call it, but it's not.
Now, do you dip it? Is it just like like with Italians they have the oil in the olive oil? Do you dip it in the oil?
We don't dip it, but we help. We one hand on a fork, one hand on bread, and push it together.
Okay, so basically you're using the bread to scoop onto the food that you're eating and eat the bread with the okay.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to forget lamb. You cannot eat a lamb without tzatziki. You have to have tzatziki on that plate because they help. You like okay. This is my plate. Imagine my head right here is my plate's right here. Okay. Okay. One side I have my salads. I have my Greek salad. I have what we call a Russian salad. A macaroni potato salad mixture. Potatoes, pasticcio, macaroni. Then I have I cut it, dip. You have to dip the lamb in that tzatziki. You dip it, and you get a nice dip to it. And you have a good technique. I promise you. But when we eat lamb together, I'm going to show you the technique.
Right. Now, Hunting Wisdom, again, thanks for being here tonight. Says no mint. You guys don't use mint jelly with the lamb. Okay, so that's not a Greek. That's not a Greek.
That is 100% Italian thing.
That is not a Greek tradition to use that. But I'm just interested though. Even though, like I said, turkey is not a staple in the diet. Like if I went to Turkey, if I went to Greece, I probably wouldn't find turkey on any menu.
Okay, before I vent, all right, I want to give credit to Stacy. Stacy makes the perfect what is it called? Buacha. Buacha is a breakfast Danish. And I challenge her. She's a baker. I got to credit the girl. She can bake her ass off. She goes, I can make it better than any Greek out there. I'm like, all right, I'll put money on that. I literally had to bite my tongue. I'm like, shit, she was fucking right. I got to credit. She's a great baker. Hey, anybody need any baking stuff? Hit my girl up right there. She's gonna hook you guys up. But okay, here's my vet now, right? So Greeks don't do the turkey Thanksgiving and everything. Even in Greece, now all of a sudden they do Black Friday because they want to be a part of their America trend. You dumb fucks.
So that is right. So they adopted.
So American Greeks. So it depends what kind of Greek you are. You have the one Greek that is actually a true story. I'm going to tell you guys. If you say, you tell the Greek, oh yeah, grandma, yeah, why can we never have turkey in the house? He goes, not here, motherfucker, because no Turks coming to my house. No, yeah, not turkey. Same fucking thing. Where you get all your.
You actually have Greeks associating the poultry with the country. Oh man,
it's a Greek comedian who says this. He says that every year, like, do not. Jesus Christ, please, God, no, do not tell them go to Turks because if you tell them Turkey, it's Turks, but Turkey is not Turks. It's a whole. Wow. You will lose family members of this. Please, God, Paul, listen to me. Do you know how serious this is? This is like Vietnam DEFCON 20. This is how serious we're talking about now.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
I'm getting too excited about this actually.
Wow. So, but yeah, I mean, so definitely, because I've always appreciated like family traditions that what food brings to the table, like literally in terms of interacting, the communication, even if you're fighting, if you're doing whatever, but it's how food has always been beyond just the sustenance, how it's always able to bring people, regardless of your culture, brings people together, brings Black people together. So again, our Thanksgivings, we'll do the turkey, but we'll do the soul food with the turkey. I mean, it's definitely, again, unless you're into really health or whatever, you may eat turkey breast or whatever, and deli slices or whatever doing it. But typically, it's not something that's going to be always on the menu. So it's always going to
I
be added
disagree.
to. But
I
that
really
in
disagree with that.
was that?
I think turkey should be more on the menu because I think it's a very delicious meat. I love turkey.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, I think it's. But if you keep it too long, it does dry out. I'll give you that.
And it gets an aftertaste to it. I don't know what it is. There's an
How do you go?
aftertaste.
Do you bake it or do you deep fry it?
Typically bake it.
Hmm. You
And
shouldn't have
it's
a
like
aftertaste.
after a few days, I'm talking like Thanksgiving time. You got the bird, you got the carcass that's left over, and you're trying to get rid of it. So that's what you're doing the turkey salad and turkey. You're trying to get rid of it. And in fact, for the longest time now, the last few years, we haven't even done a full bird. We typically do wings at Thanksgiving. Very rarely do we have like the whole bird and whatnot. We'll do the stuffing separately and all that. Yes, I know it's good when it's inside the bird and all that stuff. But typically, wings, it's just very practical. It's quick. You don't have to do all of the preparation work to brine it and baste it and all that kind of stuff. So a
Hmm.
lot of times we'll just do wings straight up and call it a day. So we even got out of that practice of doing a full burger because again, you're just not going to get rid of all of it in time. So um, so we kind of moved away from that. But I think certainly how people bond over the dinner table and is something that I think is probably one of the most transparent things. I don't know of any culture. Now, again, you may have people today like my family, like growing up, we didn't have everybody sat down at 5 o'clock and had dinner together because everyone was busy doing something else. So that sort of thing. So we weren't that kind of family, but again, every culture that I know of has some sort of bonding time over food, over a meal, whether it be the holidays or whatever. So food is like a
So
central part of that bringing people together. Like people, you look forward to it. Okay, yeah, we're going to auntie's house, we're going to grandma's house, we're going to whatever, and I can't wait to have whatever that is. That almost seems to be like a universal thing through culture. I don't know, like I said, one culture that doesn't have some sort of food tradition that people look forward to.
so Thanksgiving was my family thing mostly.
Mm.
So for a couple of years, it was first I started this, believe it or not, because I wanted us to all sit down. I don't care if we're arguing or screaming, something to sit down and eat because we're all on. Some of my family's in New Jersey, some of us in PA,
Right.
and those who are not here, obviously, I can't do anything about that. But I was able to get all the family from New Jersey and PA once, finally, under one roof at the same time.
Mm.
First was Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Then it went to Christmas and Christmas and Thanksgiving. I apologize.
Mhm.
Then we just went Thanksgiving, and that was fine. Thanksgiving was like, okay, I get it. We have, you got some people have girlfriends, some people have wives, some people have kids. I get it.
Right.
We cannot all get under the same day.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of those moments, not because of the food I cooked, not because I was proud of it because I was able to put my family under one roof
Mhm.
to about 3 or 4 years ago.
Mhm.
Something that was out of my control. And I got to deal with it. You're more family to than my own family at this point, and I have mentioned that to you. And it's okay.
Sure.
But when I do have kids and have my own family, that's one thing I'm gonna make very serious to me is if I cannot have every Sunday, let's do the holidays at least. The
Mhm.
barbecues, the
Mhm.
Memorial barbecues, the 4th of July barbecues, the President Day. If you have off for President Day, some people don't.
Right.
But the major holidays, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, New Year's, I want those big holidays, at least family together.
Mhm.
Like I said, my family has told me they gave me not one but two fuck yous, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes
Mhm.
you can't pick your family, and you
Right.
have this type of conversation, but you can pick your second family at least.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, you make the offer, you try to create the environment. Some people can come into it, some people don't. And sometimes
The
you may have
funny
to do a
part,
couple of years to kind of have, certain events, have multiple events to get the coverage. Like, yeah, we enjoy having people over. We definitely,
I love it. I
yeah,
love it too.
it's
I have some of the best memories, literally, with my cousin, me and my cousin, and a couple of our friends. Because I invited friends too, because I know they're by themselves. I'm a big believer. holidays, you should never be by yourselves.
Mm.
So I have always brought people in. A couple of my friends are in service. I'm like, one year I'm like, hey, like these guys. I'm like, who are you? I'm like, I'm so and so's friend. I'm like, who are you? I'm so and so. I'm like, why the hell these people show at my house? I didn't care. As long as you're not by yourself, I was okay with it. I knew of who it was, but when after we always sit down after we're done eating,
Mm.
it was Call of Duty time. It was always Call of Duty after dinner. And
Yeah.
you see her screaming at each other. Like we literally, we had like all these remotes going on, screaming. And like, but those memories I am never going to forget.
Mhm.
They were some of the best memories for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish I can continue those memories, but things happen sometimes I cannot control.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's very similar, but I think for us, I think food gives a certain like I said, some of the food, like I said, soul food, you shouldn't eat a lot of it. And I'll say that certainly as a black person, as an ADOS person, just from a dietary, it's not the healthiest food to eat, even though it's absolutely delicious. So again, when we do have those get-togethers, when we do have those times, it's like, Auntie, are you bringing that mac and cheese over? Are you bringing those pies, those sweet potato pies? Are you bringing those greens over? It's like so part of the excitement of the get together is at certain points if someone's known for a certain thing, a certain food item that they're known to make. It's like, okay, don't even, in fact, it's almost to the point, it's like, don't even come over if you're not bringing that dish with you. You know what I mean? Because
Okay, now I have a
a
serious
lot of
question.
it's like a potluck sort of thing. So everybody kind of brings something, but it's like if you're not coming, don't even if you're not bringing that, don't even come over. It's that kind of anticipation a lot of times when it comes to food.
Okay, I have a serious question now. Right, ready? First, it's two questions. X. Number one, cornbread, yes or no?
Yes, but it's not in the category of don't come over. I mean, it'll be there. There's certain foods that it's like don't come over. Don't come over without macaroni and cheese. Don't come over without greens. Don't come over without sweet potato pies. Don't come over without black eyed peas. I mean, there's certain foods that are like in that you gotta have them. Cornbread, I can take it or leave it because I'm getting so many carbs from all these other foods that it's
You
like.
never had a Greek dinner yet.
So I'm just saying, and you're gonna have the desserts on top of that. So the
Okay,
corn and to
so
me, cornbread, at least most of the cornbread that I had, it's usually on the sweeter side. So
that's where I
because
was
it's
going with this.
sweeter, it almost makes the
Honey, a
dessert
honey cornbread.
unnecessary. Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
it makes the dessert less, appetizer because you feel like you've already had somewhat of a dessert. And some people,
So the
it's
reason I
like
was
it's
asking
bait.
this question is because I have literally argued with people about sweet cornbread, honey cornbread, or no honey cornbread, and I'm a favor more of honey cornbread.
Mhm.
On a side note, because I make the best macaroni and cheese, baked macaroni and cheese in the world, so I don't care who you
Now
can put me
I
against
have to. I have
anybody.
to. I'm sorry, I can't agree with you. I can't do that. I can't agree with you there. Sorry. My wife owns that title, so I can never. I can't go against. I can't
You want
go
to put
against
money
the
on this?
missus. I can't go against. I don't care. I can't go against the missus. You know that's a that
you mean
that's
you
a
be cut
taboo.
off for months?
That's a taboo right there. So I
You
can't
be
go
cut
against the
off for
missus.
months.
So I'm
You be sleeping on the couch if you do.
that is her thing, and I'm very proud of her because that was like the worst thing. Like I remember the first time she made mac and cheese, and it like literally like you picked it up with the spoon and it ran off the spoon. It was so because especially
Creamy.
with our mac and cheese, it's like it's baked, so it's like a loaf. It's not meant to be loose. It's not like the crab mac and cheese that you put into the pot and stir it up and eat it or whatever, which I grew up on. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying
It's
that.
okay if you're in a jam.
What's that?
If you're in a jam, it's okay. If you're like, I need
Well,
something really fast.
well, yeah. Plus, that used to be. I grew up poor, so that was my dinner, and not the deluxe. Remember, you had two Kraft mac and cheeses. You had the one that had the powder mix that you mix with milk and whatnot, and it had those
Mhm.
skinny flat noodles, and then you had the deluxe one, and the deluxe one had the cheese in the packet, and you squeezed it out, and the macaroni was curled or whatnot. That was the deluxe one. But there were times when my meal that night was the powdered mac and cheese, and that was it. Like, you might have got a piece of toast or something, and that was it. We didn't have money. That was my dinner a lot of nights there. So
So
again, I'm not hating on it, but that was but traditionally when you make mac and cheese, it's baked. At least in the black
so
household,
I'm
it's
gonna show
baked
a
and it's burnt.
little professional secret on cheese sauce. All right, when you make it. So I always make my cheese sauce separate, and this is for BMU mostly because that's all the comments is made. So if you have a good running sauce or non-running sauce, is you take a plastic spoon, black or white doesn't matter, dip it and bring it up. It has to be plastic. If it runs off, it doesn't stick on the
Mhm.
spoon. It's a perfect consistency. If it runs out completely, nothing's on it, it's too loose. No fun intended, BMU. But but
Well, some
that's
white
how you
mac and
make.
cheese we left to right out of the family. Yeah. It's a way you got to do it. Uh, yeah, it was bad, and I remember she cried because I kind of expressed my disappointment, and she was in tears, and she
Your
said,
wife?
"Yeah," she said, "You diss my macaroni." She wouldn't talk to me for like for a few hours or whatever. So she finally came. Was like, "What's wrong?" But
Oh,
you you
now I see
you
why you don't
diss
want to
my
take that
macaroni.
challenge.
But no, but I must say again, she got great at it to the point now where it's like like I said, growing up again, the family get-togethers, nieces and nephews would call the house and say, "Auntie, you got to bring your mac and cheese." Or my kids, they would be like, they have their friends givings, and they have these different occasions with their friends. They always came to my wife, can you make some of that mac and cheese? It's like my friends, they keep talking about your mac. So again, that was something she was able to overcome those early failures, and she got really good at it. So when I say she's
Question I
got
have
the best
for
mac and
Mrs.
cheese, it's not hyperbole when I say so.
So this goes for Mrs. B right now. Is it one cheese, two cheese, three cheese, four cheese, or 10 cheeses?
It's at least four. She mixes it up. I mean, this cheddar sharp cheddar's gonna be like a base, but she might
Cheddar's
put some
always the base.
Asiago in there. She'll put some, Monterey Jack. She'll put, different things in there. She'll mix it up. She'll play
If you
around with.
really want to feel froggy, you can always put a little chipotle in there too.
Yeah, no one's in my family is like a super hot eater. Like
Chipotle's not that hot, actually, believe it or not. If you
Mm,
get the tomato paste chipotle, it's not that hot. It's like
right,
a 3 out of 10.
right.
You feel okay, oh, okay, and that's it. And you're fine.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting factoid about mac and cheese, at least in the United States. Everyone knows about Thomas Jefferson
Mhm.
and his mistress, for lack of a better word, Sally Hemings. That was the one he had several children with, who was, she was a slave, but certainly had children with. But she had a brother named James Hennings, who was actually Thomas Jefferson's chef, and he actually was allowed to travel to France, and he learned some French cuisine when he was over there. Amongst them was a macaroni pie, which he brought back with him, and he's credited with bringing baked mac and cheese, to the United States. So that's an interesting
So
factoid
it
that
goes
yeah.
to between the 14th and 13th centuries, actually. It went
Mhm.
all the way back then. That's the original first mac and cheese. They
Right,
actually
right.
called it El Lesse, they called it back then.
Yeah, yeah,
Some other
yeah.
country called Friends, Francisa or Freddy Caco. I
Mhm.
can't pronounce goddamn fucking French. I don't speak French.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
so
Yeah.
that is one of the foundations of the mac and cheese. And obviously Italians into France evolved when it came to the
Right.
States, like you said,
Right, right.
and it became what we know today.
Yeah, yeah. So I found that interesting that he's credited with introducing it to the United States, but he went to France to learn all these culinary techniques that they had over there. And it's interesting how much French culture has influenced American, because obviously we're multicultural here. So but France has certainly been influence in several ways, amongst them the food dishes, that we
And here's a side note too. I
enjoy.
don't know if you know this. Jefferson, he was a humongous fan of mac and cheese back in the day. He loved that shit like crazy. That's
Yeah.
what makes his diet. Like I was very surprised. I actually learned that and eggs. There's two big things he had because he had his own chef at the time.
Yeah.
Because he had a lot of money obviously for that
Right.
time.
Right.
So his chef always made eggs and mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Imagine having eggs with mac and cheese. Combination doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Although my wife, she will add some egg, like to help with the firmness. She'll mix a couple of eggs in the batter, like as she makes it and then lays it out and whatnot. Then she puts.
One thing I never learned, and I don't want to learn because I know how much a pain in the ass. Because if I learn this, is going to be every chef I work for from that point on ever. It's going to make me do it. Is making noodles from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I was gonna ask you about that earlier. Are you one of those people who likes to make his own pastas? Because I think I might have did it once. It was too much. It's like this is too.
It
much
is a lot of work. It's rare when chefs actually still do it. It's good to know. Yeah. Even pizza dough. I can make pizza dough from scratch. It's not hard. The yeast, that's the hardest part. Making sure you balance your yeast with your flour and everything.
Right.
Literally, not even a teaspoon, like a sprinkle of the yeast would be enough for a homemade pizza, for example. So when it comes to the dough, any dough, I don't care, noodles, pizza dough, whatever, is baking. You have to get your measurement on point.
Right.
I say that for a reason. Stacey in the comments will tell you she's my baker. When it comes to baking, you have to get not even that hair inch off. It's just like if it's like it's supposed to be like say a 2 line is like little over, it will fuck up the whole recipe. It's a science on bakery.
Yeah.
But I have done pizza dough. Noodles, I have not done because most places need equipment like the rollers.
Yeah.
Some of them twist it and they start flipping them. I was never into that because when you don't roll it out, you blend them actually. Believe it or not,
its own category, right? I mean, you have these what they call these pots.
You have a pasta.
It's a discipline. If you go to culinary school, it's a separate discipline in and of itself, just like baking.
They teach you it at culinary school. First of all, disclosure: anybody who wants to be a chef or a cook, don't go to school. Get a job at a diner or something like that. You learn more on that than spending the money for no reason. You just need to
I know you went to like mechanic auto body school, right? You went to Tesla, but you never went to culinary.
Never. Not even step once. I have my surf safe and that's it. I learned everything on the field.
Right.
I mean, pushing and arguing back.
So why do you think that is? Why wouldn't you? Because I know a sister of mine. I know she graduated culinary school, and I think she specialized in baking. But why? What is it about culinary school that you don't think prepares someone to be a good chef versus if you?
So 95% of the school, I have met a lot of chefs that some of them are from one of the best schools in France or this. And I'll give you a great example. I was working on a very high-end restaurant. I mean, we're pushing like $9K a night.
Wow.
And he goes to me, I want to be on Sauté. I went, no, you don't, buddy. Not everybody's on that. The owner goes, Pete's on that station. He's the only one I allow and trust on that station. He goes, he's arguing with the owner, like, I'm your boss, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, you know what? I'll give it a check, kid. He was puking under 20 minutes. How his nerves, how much tickets are going so fast you can keep up with them. So a lot of chefs tell me all this stuff. I'm like, have you ever really cooked in your life? Book smart, that makes sense in a book. If you're reading a recipe, but a lot of times the recipes don't make sense.
Right.
And
I get it in something, especially when it comes to the arts. Like they say, like you can't go to college or school to be a comedian. You know what I mean? Like True. you can go practice drama, you can study improv.
There are comedian classes out there you can take.
But some of the guys, I know Bill Burr, a lot of these guys are saying it's a waste of time. In order to become a comedian, the best way to go about it is you got to be on the circuit. You got to get in the smelly, smoky clubs. You got to get your craft. But no amount of schooling can prepare you for a stand-up comedian. Like, so again, improv is a totally different category. It's like a pastry chef. It's like a pasta chef. It's a totally different thing. Improv don't confuse improv for being a stand-up. Those guys who do SNL, that doesn't necessarily mean they can go up and do a 1 hour stand-up show. So it's that, you know, so I understand with certain arts or crafts that going to school could be somewhat of a hindrance or you know than a help. But I never thought that you're the first person who I ever heard say that culinary school could be detrimental to your skills as a chef.
So I actually
Going
know a
forward.
lot of chefs who say that. I'm not the only
Mhm.
one. I have met
Yeah, I'm
5-star.
saying you're the first time I'm hearing it
Okay, so
from
I haven't met 5-star chefs. Ramsey actually is a self-taught chef too, believe it or not.
Right.
Now he's more pushing for a school for degrees mostly because a lot of people want that degree
But
to
now
run
is
a
this
restaurant.
his thing? But is this his thing though? Because some of these people they set up like their own. So like he's probably as he is. He probably set up like his own school to an extent or his own certification or something like that. So
No,
is
he
this
actually
thing
has
he just says,
he does in his own school. He's pushing it because when you're running like a multi-million-dollar operation, you
Mhm.
need to know how to run that. That's a good thing about school. They can teach
Right.
you how to order correctly, how to budget stuff. That part, yes, you need school if you want to run like Sands Hotel or you want to run something out like in Vegas and so on like that. One of the best chefs I know, two best chefs. One is named Sakis. I don't know him personally, but I know of him. He's the number one chef at the moment in Greece, and he learned overseas, but he didn't go to school. He actually dropped out. He went from school. He went from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to learn it, and he just needed to learn the technical stuff.
Yeah.
He could learn that as a small restaurant.
Right.
But if you want to go from school right into the big league, it's literally a rocket jump from making a 55,000 to 100,000 very easily. This is why I'm not at that rank 100,000 because I didn't take the schooling. They said, "So what's your degree?" I'm like, "I don't need a degree. I can overcook you guys any day of the
So
week."
wait a minute. So there is benefit in that.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
Not from the standpoint of the chefs,
Correct.
but from the standpoint of the restaurants.
Correct.
They tend to value the degree more so than the chefs themselves. So you may go in order to get, you know, so it's like anything else. Like you go to law school, whatever, like they say like where you went to law school matters. I went to Harvard Law School. I went to whatever. I went to Juilliard, for example, or whatever one of those upper level colleges are. The restaurants value that. But from the chefs themselves, the ones who actually went through the process and did it, they're the ones who will tell you that that it's not, you know, you're not going to necessarily become a great chef from going to school. But they used it, they leveraged it in order from a financial point of view to get better gigs and better jobs.
Correct.
Okay, that all right. Now I can see that making sense now.
Yeah. So I'm going to use another famous chef, Guy Fieri. He has never went to school for this. He actually learned again on the field. He has gone to restaurants, but the guy has a great taste bud. Yeah, that's one thing about cooking is very. That's the word I'm looking for. Unique. My taste buds versus yours are two different things, correct? So what I think tastes great is the most best meal I ever made. You might look like, it's mediocre. What's the big deal? It's personal preference. Okay, Guy Fieri has a restaurant up here called Guy Fieri, Mount Airy Hotel. Great place to eat. Burgers they're literally 21 ounces. The burgers.
Wow.
They're fat fuckers. I don't see the big deal about it. They're like, it's a burger. Didn't really think it. But now his Alfredo Chipotle chicken now. That is a good. He charges $15 at the time when I ate it last time. Okay, I can say, yeah, okay, yeah. I can come back and see and eat this again. His chili fries, and chili's banging. But again, taste is a huge thing for everybody. Everybody's unique on taste,
right?
And I keep that in mind. So
now, so let me ask you about that. Now, how do you, as a chef, since you're cooking for others, because me, I'll just make something like you either like it or you don't. Like, so I'm not on the hook. I'm not on the getting charged for it. how do you assess that as a chef, thinking that it's not just about what tastes good to you, but you have to make sure that it's good for your audience. The audience is what really matters in the equation, not necessarily your personal preference.
Really
How do
fast
you?
before we get too far ahead, a pasta chef that makes pasta all year round, that's all.
Mhm,
He
mhm,
only makes 41,000 a year.
mm.
That is very, very low in this
Yeah,
economy.
that's pretty. Yeah, especially if you're going to go to school for that, and
And
put all
yeah,
that
and
money
it's
in,
kind of
because
dying art.
culinary school isn't cheap either.
Yeah, and it's a dying art. Pasta chef is dying art. It's a
Mm,
lot of people don't like you. You're better being a bakery chef or a high dining chef versus a
mm,
pasta chef, because how much pasta you gonna fucking make? Think about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
You need to learn it. At some point, I know I gotta suck the dick and then actually learn it. Simple. I know. As much as I don't want to learn it because I know I'm gonna open a can of worms in my career, but I know I'm gonna have to earn it if I continue on this path in my career.
right, right, right. Interesting, interesting. So, what else I want to ask you? Oh, yeah. So again, but well, follow up on the question I was just asking. How do you, as a chef,
Hmm.
able to gauge how it tastes for other people? Or what's your thought process when you're making something? People really gonna like this, or that disconnect when you say, yeah, you think that there's gonna be a hit and it's not. What are you thinking at that time? It's like, well, what are you talking about? This is the greatest stuff. I mean, like,
So okay,
do you
so
take it
I have
personally?
I don't
When
take it
if
personally.
okay.
That's wrong. I will never take it personal because what? Okay, for example, I know people who hate chocolate,
Mhm,
and I made something with chocolate, chocolate pancakes. I'll use that as an example. I make pancake batter from the scratch. I know that's a baking department, but I like making pancakes from scratch. If I really care about you, if I didn't give a shit about you, you're getting from the box. Fuck you.
mhm,
Um, so I like chocolate chip pancakes. It depends on the chocolate you use. Some people say I fucking hate this.
mhm,
Why? I just don't like chocolate. How can I take that personal if you don't like chocolate, Paul?
mhm,
Simple. So with the flavor, this is how I do a process elimination as a chef.
mhm,
First, I make it. I taste it. If I taste it good, don't need to add any salt, pepper, sugar, whatever I need to do. Whatever seasoning I need. All right.
mhm,
And yes, sugar is a seasoning. So then I do a test taste. I have 5 people that I know. Let's say you, BMU, um, Black David, Loss, and somebody else. I don't know. Trevor or whatever. All right,
mhm.
you guys taste it. If I have I say 5 says yay and 2 say no, I can't take that personal because they don't like it. But you guys 3 like it. It's more yays than nos. If I have 4
Mhm.
yays and 1 no, that's okay. Now if I have 1 yay and 4 no's, okay, now I have to go back to scratch and
Right.
start working on my recipe again.
But have you ever gotten like a review, or a
Yeah,
comment from someone who didn't, for whatever reason, didn't like the food or didn't give it a, and I don't know what's worse, n- someone hating your food or someone giving you like a blah grade. Like some people's like, you rather be on, you either love it or hate it, but don't be in the middle. Don't give me that. It's okay. It's all right. Like some people are so, into their food that the I comment is more insulting than I hated your food. Because if you hated it, then you can go back and say, okay, what I did wrong, maybe I did something wrong, whatever, I can fix it. But if the food is just okay, have you ever gotten that kind of feedback or that kind of yeah, feedback from a customer or someone left the review of you or whatever? And again, you don't take any of that personally, especially if you
cannot.
believed
I cannot.
that
I
it
cannot. I cannot.
was the best you could have done, and someone just saying it's okay, that because again, it's like you are in many ways, you're like an artist. I think chefs are in a lot of ways like
In
artists.
a way, yes, yes,
And
that's
so
correct.
again, if someone gives your art a bad review, now again, some artists are like, well, look, I don't create my art for critics or reviewers anyway. I do it because I love it. I do it because so if you don't care about the reviews, that's one thing. But certainly if you're, a lot of your career is based on people liking your food. I mean, your job is based on people liking the product that you produce. So I'm sure you take a lot of pride in that. So when somebody says,
At
you
this point in
know,
my career, like
yeah,
yes, I take pride in my food, but I've been so many times saying This sucks. This is, you're the worst chef in the world. I rolled off my back. I don't give a shit anymore.
Mm,
Once in a blue moon, I might take it very personal. Like it
mhm.
comes from my boss, like the way they come off. Like, no, like somebody told me today, "You make my food look like shit." And I told him, your face like shit. I didn't take it personal.
Wow.
And that's from a coworker of mine. And funny part, I can cook better than he does. So,
Mm,
you know, laugh is on me. I'm saying.
right, right.
So my point, like, you cannot take it personal. Sometimes
Mhm,
if it's from a coworker and like you just tell them to go fuck off and you just move on your day.
mhm,
Now, if it comes from your boss, that's a different story. I have my boss like, Pete, this is good, but let's make it better.
mhm,
I remember one of the chicken salad I was making. It was great. He goes, I loved him, but I want to make it better.
mhm,
So we added a little, little garlic to it. We added a little raisins to it, and what else did we add to it? And celery. That made it
Now, a lot of
9 days.
that's just off the fly. It's just what
Just
comes
start
into your
throwing
head
shit
to
in there.
add
Just throwing shit in there.
yeah, yeah,
And we just keep tasting it until we got it right. And they're like,
right.
we have 5 different batches. We threw some stuff like the first one. Yep, nope, garbage.
Yeah.
Did it again. Nope, try again. To eventually we got to where we wanted to, and that's what it is.
Mhm,
Same thing. Like egg salad, same thing. I know people put mustard in their egg salad, and people are
mhm,
like, ugh. I'm like, what's wrong with that?
mhm,
I know some people put what's called Zen seasoning. And like, it's like a Italian seasoning. Think of it, or
mhm,
with low sodium. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it.
mhm.
And
Although
like,
it's funny when people find out what's in something, even though they didn't know what it was initially, it didn't bother them. The fact that it's in it now, they got a problem with it. I always say, "Oh, this is really good." They say, "Oh, it's got this in it." It's like, huh? And then all of a sudden, you just stop liking it because just the knowledge that you think it has whatever in there, it starts to mess with them a little bit.
and there's a good quick comment. Black notes do make the big difference in food. People don't
Mhm.
know that.
Yeah,
Those hidden features in food is a huge, huge, huge difference.
yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the art is. Like me, I'm not a chef. I've been cooking though since I've been about 8. One thing I give credit to my mom for is that she had me in the kitchen pretty early growing up. And so, baking, cooking, and also back in school, they used to do home economics classes. So we learned how to bake, how to sift. We had in our school, in our middle school, we had full kitchens, and we would go there. It was a class. You took attendance. You had to do tests. They had these different kitchen food stations. We had to know how to measure, how to sift, how to use the things. We baked breads and pot, all kinds of things we had to actually make, and I just kept doing it, just out of a love for it. But one thing that's always been with me is it's almost like martial arts to an extent. Like if you give me something to cook, like I'm very precise. So you give me the recipe, it says half a tablespoon of this, a quarter teaspoon of this, whatever. I have all my utensils laid out. I have all of my tools. Like I gotta have my stuff. That's why the thing that really peeves me is if I can't find, like, where are my measuring cups? And I ask my wife, where'd you move I get crazy when I don't have all of my equipment in front of me.
I totally get it.
But once
Um,
I get good at something, it's like a lot of that stuff tends to go away. It's like you go from it's like dancing by step or dancing by they used to have the things on the floor, with the 1 2 3 4, you put your foot in this step or whatever. It was kind of like that. But when you learn how to dance, like for real, you stop measuring. Like you can go with a pinch of this and a pinch of that. You don't have to be like, I would literally take my teaspoon, top level it off, and make sure everything was, so I was just like really rugged with it, to the point now where, like I said, I can just kind of throw stuff in. I think that ultimately makes the difference between good food and great food. I think there's something called, at some point, there's love, which it's kind of hard to describe it, but it's the reason why some people's food, no matter how much they can give you the recipe how they make it, but it's like, I can't make it like the way you make it. What are you not telling me? And I think a lot of it has to do with the love you put into it. It goes beyond just measurement that makes food great. because you're putting a part of you into whatever it is that you're cooking. And so that's, and certainly on some of the things I do make, the comments that come back, it's like, yeah, you did it again. It's like, I don't know what you're doing there, but, keep doing it. But so what do you think about that? I do think there's this ingredient called love that a lot of people don't get when it comes to making food, but it makes all the difference in the world. What do you think about that?
So I agree 100%. And I little disagree. The little disagree when you start doing this for a living like I do,
Mhm.
after 20 years, you don't love cooking anymore. Simple. It's a job.
Right.
I will cook my ass off. Now it comes to loved ones or friends. Let's say I invited you and the missus over and the kids, right? Let's say
Mhm.
the Bernie Bunch comes over. All right. No offense.
Mhm.
And my mother's there, the dogs, your dog, my dog are trying to, steal each other's bones.
Mhm.
And my girl's there, whatever the case is. All right. All of them. There's a Bernie Bunch. I would love to cook for you guys. To me,
Mhm.
that is the fun part of my life again, because I miss doing that.
Mhm.
But I don't do that anymore because I
Mhm.
don't have time. When
Right, right. It becomes rote because I guarantee the same. If you made the same thing you did at work for us, whatever that is, it's not going to taste as good because you're doing it for the job. It's just routine. It's just for the job. But like I said, because you have a certain amount of affection for the people in your life, there's a part of you that goes into it. Now it's like automatic. Like there's people who have jobs that are like it's automatic. Like I can go in, I can do my job. I'm on a keyboard.
Mhm.
I type whatever, and I just spit out code or whatever. They're not doing it because they're passionate about it. It's just become automatic. It's like subconsciously competent
So
at
I'll
something.
say one thing to this. So when it cooks so much, the last thing I want to do is cook when I get home, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
So that's why a lot of cooks don't eat when they get home. They usually eat because
I
you're
know,
always
yeah. I
tasting,
know one
tasting,
of the good
tasting,
friends
tasting,
of mine,
tasting,
he was
tasting.
the exact same way. He was the exact same way. But again, that's still you're still connected to the job. Like you still need to kind of come down or detox from the job. I'm saying if you've been again, you're gonna be hosting a special occasion, whether it could be Christmas, New Year's, whatever it is, or having friends over that again, when you have that desire, like you want to do it, then I think the food is gonna come out a lot better because you're involved in it. And like I said, it's like I said, it's a subtle thing, but it makes all the difference in the world. But I agree. But it's like, and I think for any artist, I know artists, for example, who love to do art, but if they have to turn the art into a business, then that's what makes their practice of the art tedious. So that's why a lot of guys don't even go into business. It's like I'd rather be on the street. I've seen guys, you've probably seen it too, guys on the street who can take spray cans and make this artwork, like really, like take two cans, shake them together, and do all this crazy stuff and make landscapes and stuff like that. It's just wow. But if they had to do this for a living, like for life, it's like, here, buy my painting if you want to, but if you don't, that's fine. But if you have to do it out of regiment, I've seen a lot of people get burned out. A lot of people love to do, even athletes. There's athletes who love playing basketball or love playing whatever. But if they got to do it like a job, they got to be, it's all year long. And it's just, you can take the joy out of something that you love if it's done a lot of times for the wrong reasons. Or I won't even say the wrong reasons, but reasons other than your love of the activity. When it becomes a job, anything that becomes a job, even if you're very highly skilled at it, it's like I'm just here. Like I said, you get to a point where you are subconsciously competent. Like I know a lot of people who only put 2 hours into an 8-hour job mentally because everything else is automatic, but they're not passionate about it. But people who real so go to your mother, your grandmother. Like I said, she would make this stuff that was just like
Banging.
unbelievable. but but it was made with love because, oh, my grandbabies are coming over, my family's coming over. I love serving my family. I love seeing people be full. I love people coming up to me saying, "Grandma, man, I don't know what you did. You just that piece, you know, is something that you just cannot put in a recipe book. Can't put it in a cookbook. You can't put it on YouTube. It's something about when you put yourself into it, especially the food. And that's what makes a lot of those family gatherings uh, um,
Special.
special because it's like, oh, grandma, oh yeah, you be dreaming about her pineapple upside down cake for the whole week before you get there. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's like, so that's the thing. HW, good to be with us. Yeah, that's why I stopped photography. Yeah, it could burn you. In college, I loved doing graphic. I had one of the early Macs. I was doing a lot of desktop publishing and stuff. All those tools to make Page Maker and Adobe Acrobat and all that stuff. I got good at it, but I tried to turn it into a business, and it just became tedious. It's like I don't love this, and it's one of the reasons why I'm thinking about do I want to be because I'm gonna have a post career life, like I'm gonna retire at some point, and I've given thought to like whether or not I want to be a full-time trainer and open up a studio. But if I do that, that's gonna be full-time trainers. That's a 15-hour day. It's 6 a.m. in the morning because you're gonna have clients there to 9 at night, every night, 6 days a week.
So, Paul, if you remember, at one point I was doing martial arts full time.
Yeah.
As a karate instructor.
Right.
Less than 3 months, I was very burned out.
Yeah.
Not physically, mentally. I lose love it.
And I know you love martial arts. You wouldn't have if you didn't love it, you wouldn't have put yourself through all that conditioning and all that abuse. I call it you were abused, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're
more than once.
You talked about the stretching when the guy came and pushed you down from the back and all that. No, you were tortured, but you loved it, But when you have to do it for a living, or when you have to do it to make a livelihood out of it, yeah, that can ruin take a lot of the joy out of what was like just your own personal exploration. And now it goes to something else. And I think with food, it can get to the same place.
And I agree with you because food is the same thing, but you can burn yourself out on anything. And like when it comes down to firing a grill, and by the way, it has to be charcoal. It cannot be propane. If you're a propane person, just don't even speak to me. Forget me.
I'm propane. I'm sorry.
I need a new co-host right now. Get him off the chat.
Now I have done the dual thing. I got this thing where I got the wood chips I'll put in there or whatnot. But yeah, I did the charcoal thing for a while, and the propane that was just easier. Especially my wife, she gets on the grill too sometimes.
Tipo ofereceu my like,
she don't want to deal with it. Look, what can I say? I'm a different.
It's easy, yes, but his huge difference. But when it comes to barbecuing, that is my forte. I love barbecuing.
You love the barbecue.
Anybody who has barbecue, I love it. But because I don't do that often. Think about it. I use a grill at work. I use a flat top or a char grill, but I don't go outside. I have a cold beer in my hand and flipping the bird, on the grill. It's
right.
a big difference.
Right. Now I agree. Plus, but most charcoal grills, unless you get like one of the real large ones, it's difficult to do large volume on the charcoal grill, at least in my experience. Most of the time, it's like the grill is like maybe 24 inches wide or whatever, or like
I got a big one,
like a pit. You can go to a pit and have it, but to do like large volumes, like I have like a 60-inch grill, so I can do 30-40 hamburgers in a shot. Yeah, I can just put them all up there, especially when we have big gatherings. In fact, I'm having a gathering with some guys next week for my church that are coming over next week, and so I need to be able to kind of put out food relatively quickly. And then turn it over and then do something else. I'll do burgers and hot dogs first, then I'll do chicken, then I'll do ribs or whatever, so I'll just kind of keep it moving, so I can do that a little bit easier with, like I said, the type of setup that I have. But no,
I I personally
I
don't have a
respect
problem with mine.
I respect the charcoal guys though. I mean, in fact, I salute you, you know, because you have the patience to, you know, to again, I think
Start it.
that's an art also. You know, to make sure you get those coals to the right temperature and all that kind of stuff. And you know, that's like I said, working that is it's like the difference. It's almost like you driving a stick versus an automatic. That's the way I
Let me
look
tell
at it.
you the secret I have how to start my charcoal up. You
How's
can
that?
come that is fucking cheating. But every person I know some pit masters that took my idea and actually ran with it.
Hmm.
So when you start, you put your starter fluid, you throw a match in it, it goes
Hmm.
up right, and then you just kind of go back and forth to get it going right.
Hmm.
That's so much work. I get a blow dryer, get a blow,
Okay.
and like 5 minutes later, my charcoals are nice and toasty red. I just
Yeah.
have to get my grill hot. Man, just wait another 10, 20 minutes, and it's perfect.
So
And
that's the
I
thing,
have
10, 20 minutes. So that's a like I said, it's an art. I said I'm not hating on the charcoal guys or whatnot, but again, that's a process. You might as well take two sticks and light up, you know, rub them
same
together.
thing. My best friend, he's a propane guy, and he blasts it all the way, turns it off, blasts it away. I'm like, dude, seriously, like what? He goes, stop doing that. And I'm like, leave it at a certain temperature and let it go. He cooks his way, I cook my way, obviously.
Mhm,
But I keep telling him, get a charcoal. Like, that's way too much work for my fat ass, he goes.
mhm.
And it is
HW is
work.
asking. HW is asking. Have y'all? Of course, I know I burn food. So, have you ever burned?
Haven't I? Shit. I put it this way. I burned like a whole 2 stacks of ovens with potatoes in it once.
Oh,
My chef goes,
this is professionally on the job.
oh God, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
put me off this. I was doing dinner and it was at East Stratford University, actually, up here.
Mhm.
I'm cooking, I'm throwing, I'm boom, boom, going over here. I'm doing this. I'm doing like 3 meals at once. And they call me, Pete, I need you in pizza. I'm like, huh? I'm like, no way. He goes, yeah, yes way. He goes, we're gonna teach you how to do pizza our way now. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, and I forgot to put the timers because I got pulled off. The next day, I get put him in the office. He goes, like, Pete in my office, like, what did I do this time? He goes, number one, good job last time. Number two, don't ever burn my fucking potatoes. Like, oh shit. I go to him like 24 hours later, I remembered about him.
Yeah.
He goes, it happens. Oh, it happens to everybody. I'm like, it isn't a time I have not burned something. If you're not burning something, you're not a fucking chef. Simple as that. You're not a cook.
Right.
You're always going to burn something.
Got a couple questions for you. We're almost towards the end of the show, so I got a couple questions for you. And as far as the chat, this question was asked a while ago, and I had a lot of fun with it. Is there a food that you grew up eating that you cannot stand to this day?
Liver.
But you ate it, but you had to eat it. So your
Liver.
grandmother, your mother,
Liver.
it was liver for you.
Liver. I hate fucking liver. And fish.
Now, is liver a part of Greek culture? I mean, is that a staple of
It's not a
Greek food?
humongous staple. I say it's like the number one, like lamb is,
Mhm.
or gyro, but it's up there. I fucking hate lamb. I mean, I'm sorry. What's called it? Liver. I can't stand the smell of it. I can't
Mhm.
stand the look of it. I don't want it in my kitchen. I refuse to have it in my house.
Right.
My mom completely. Can you give me chicken liver? No. But no. That's coming in his house. You want it? You can move out. I went to her last time.
Mhm.
She goes,
Yeah.
never mind.
See, I can rock with it a little bit. If you're gonna like saute it and then get those onions and great brown gravy in there, I can live with it. I'm not saying I love it, but I'm saying I can rock with it if it's in that brown gravy and those pearl onions or whatever. I could rock with a little bit of it. It's not it wouldn't be my favorite, but I can get with it a little bit under those conditions. Hunting Wisdom says she used to love liver, but for anyone in the chat, so talk about a food that you grew up, you had to eat it,
Oh,
you wouldn't
I
leave the
hope you choke
table.
on it.
Was so how'd you get off the table then? How'd you get it? What?
Oh, I didn't eat it. Simple. I went to home bed hungry.
See, so that doesn't
Fish?
count then. That doesn't count.
What?
The question is a food that you had that they made you eat.
Well, they made me eat it. I don't know. But as I got older, I refused to eat it. Simple. I ate it, and then 10 minutes later I used to gag.
Mhm.
And like it
Honey
was
says,
like
"I ate it when I was pregnant. Baby didn't like it. Never, never again." Hey, but doesn't sometimes when you're pregnant though, they say you get these crazy appetites or taste for something that, well, when you're
I heard
pregnant, you
that
just
too.
want they say that pickles and ice cream thing. You say you want certain foods, so maybe that's the reason why it was popular. But I'm talking about just in general foods that you just like I grew up eating like fried bologna sandwiches, right? It was like again, you would get the again, you got to the end of the month, so you only had a couple pieces of bologna, you'd fry it up, or you would have spam. That was like my lunch meat. I don't think I've had spam in probably 40 years. I mean, it's been a long time, but that was something that that's one of those things where it was there, you ate it because that's all you had. But when I got to a point where I knew I didn't have to eat it anymore, I never bought spam again. But back in the day, though, it was definitely it was definitely. And again, also, again, we used to have like my mom would get the whole chicken. And remember back in the day, they had the whole chicken, and they would wrap inside the bird. They would have in the paper the neck bones, the gizzards, and the chicken livers. And my mom used to collect those.
I make soup out of it, right?
And so, or whatever, but we would keep them in the freezer. And I knew things were bad. Like I knew there was a money shortage when I would have it. Like not like if I had one night, if we had chicken, like real chicken, chicken legs or whatever, wings or whatever. Okay, things are okay. I knew things weren't okay when night after night she would make a pot of rice and those chicken livers and the gizzards and the necks. And I used to hate that to like no end. It was just like I would almost cry. It was like, oh man, we gotta have this again. Because again, it was night after night after night. Because again, that's all we had. She made sure to save all that product up in the freezer
Mhm.
for a rainy day when the money wasn't gonna be there and we had very little to eat. And it was just like, look, it's either this or nothing at all. So that's something that I definitely um when I got to a point that said never again. I'll go there. But again, I mean circumstances though being what they were, like I said, it's what you had. So
And I get that. Like some things. Okay, the fish I can tolerate even to this day. Sometimes I don't like eating it, but I will eat it for the nutrition facts, like the lean protein and stuff like that. I know liver is better for you,
mm,
but I wouldn't even give that to poor Alexander. No, I'm not gonna torture my dog with that. I would actually I would torture my enemies with that, but that's another story. But comes to the liver, nope, I'm good. You guys can run with it. You can
yeah,
have it, boy. You can have it all you want. Just don't find it around me. Don't
yeah,
look at me with it. Well,
yeah,
I may have be very more serious finding a new co-host if you say anything about liver. That
right,
those are very fighting words.
right, right.
Fight!
And also, now again, I come from my family's from the deep South, slave South. So again, a lot of soul food is basically slave food. Soul food is essentially, in essence, it's the food that we were only allowed to eat. So we basically took the worst parts of what they gave us. So they gave us the pig feet, they gave us the ham hocks, they gave us the
The pork belly,
intestines,
right?
yeah, the pork belly. So again, chitlins, that was like a thing. So again, hog maws and chitlins, that was something that my folks grew up on. Even to this day, some of my older siblings still enjoy, but I'm sorry, I can't. If I smell them cooking in the house, I can't go in there.
See,
You know what I'm
that's how I
saying?
feel about your liver.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was such a delicacy. Like I said, we talked about the holidays earlier.
Mhm.
Now again, it's kind of like a dying thing. Like I don't see too many folks into it. My dad, he was a really good cook. In fact, he would make his own hog's head cheese. He knew like a lot of those old techniques as far as. In fact, he actually had a party one time where he taught a lot of my aunts and other ladies how to make it. I mean, he was like really good at making a lot of these things. He would, put the hogshead cheese in the cheese cloth things and hang them for a while until it made a loaf and all that kind of stuff. And he was good at it. He, chitlins, the whole thing. He'd get them, clean them, all that kind of stuff. But I never was into that. But for a lot of African Americans, a lot of ADOS, it is still a delicacy. Especially get some hot sauce and you put it on it. That's the thing. With you can put hot sauce on almost anything and kind of make good. Even liver. Some people who not like liver, you could put hot sauce on it and kind of make it work. But yeah, some of those old kind of soul food items, I can't get with. I can get with the okra. I can get with the black eyed peas. I can even get some ham hocks. I can get with some, stuff like that. But pickles, pig's feet,
But like
and
for example,
pigtails.
pulled pork is originally from the South, and it's like everybody loves it. And it's actually from my research, is an African slave dish. If I'm not mistaken, Paul.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we were
So
basically able to talk about making lemonade out of lemons. A lot of that food came from that, and also some of our own African traditions. So again, a lot of those like gumbo, jambalaya, a lot of that
that's good
stuff
shit right there.
came from because again, you only had parts. So you had animal parts. You didn't have the whole thing. Then they would give you some okra, they would give you some rice, um, and whatnot. And a lot of West African meals were basically combining all that stuff together. So whether it be Hoppin' John, jambalaya, gumbo, a lot of those meals were kind of how a lot of Africans ate. I'm from New Jersey, but my parents are from Georgia, South Carolina, that Florida Panhandle. They're from that deep South. So all my kinfolk are from there. My dad moved up to New Jersey in the 50s and, pretty much stay here. But there was also like a southern migration. So a lot of my older siblings, I never did it, but my older siblings, they would go down to the South every summer. So they got a lot of that southern culture than what I had access to. But nevertheless, I was certainly exposed to it enough. I mean, squirrel, possum. Again, my grandfather, he would go out into the woods with a rifle, and you would hear gunshots, and he would come back with birds. He would come back with squirrels. He would come back with possum. My grandmother would be on the back porch. I saw her cleaning it, like stripping the skin off and cleaning it and getting ready and putting it so they ate all of the off the land animals, as well as the when you could have like a steak or beef or chicken or like the mainstream stuff, that was considered in a lot of respects like a treat. Like you knew times were good when you can eat that stuff, but still they developed a taste for these other what they would call delicacies, which I could not quite to this day wrap my taste buds around. So again, I can go to a house now, I can smell those chitlins a block away, and I know I will get nauseous if I get towards the house and if I smell that stuff. So yeah, you put all the hot sauce on it that you want to, but my older siblings, if someone's having chitlins, they're running over there just to get them. In part because they know it's a dying it's like a dying food stuff. It's like a lot of people are losing, especially with millennials and Gen Zers. They're not into it. So I think
It's
that's
funny you
something that
said
in
that
the next
just
few
now,
years is going to die off.
and I want to touch this. We're going to end it here. I think a lot of gingers and XVs, whatever you call them, they don't want to know how to cook. So cooking is starting to be a disappearing art, not professionally. I mean, home cooking.
Mhm.
I said, what could I cook? I can just order dinner. Uber Eats,
Absolutely, yeah, for
cheaper.
real,
This thing,
for real, yeah, yeah. It's definitely
a dying art.
yeah, yeah. But my daughters, they're starting to get better at it. They like to experiment. They like to get into, try different things. But yeah, it's definitely like I said, they didn't. I said the fact that we went to school for it, and we kind of had that upbringing where again you kind of had to know how to do certain things. I think it was definitely useful. But as we come up on close in, let's move this. We talked about the foods we don't like. So to close out the show, okay, we're gonna say your last meal before you go and meet Jesus
Gyro.
in the sky. All right, your last meal. All right, so
Gyro.
don't just drop.
I
Paint a
already know what I'm gonna
picture.
say.
All right, but what's going with the gyro? What's in the gyro? What are your
Good. It has to be
sides?
good. It
What
has
are
to
you
be pita.
drinking? What is so again, give me your last meal.
I already know it. Don't need to tell me this. It's a nice fat gyro, the Greek style, tzatziki, pork, nice seasoning, tomato with potatoes wrapped around this fucking big with a nice glass of Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know you were a Mountain Dew, man. Oh,
Oh, I love Mountain Dew.
okay. Okay. You did a diet or you do the regular, the sugar free or the regular?
Regular one.
That,
Why would the hell would I drink
that's
that?
a ton of sugar, man. The Mountain Dew, that's like 80 grams of carbs in there, or something like that. It's crazy.
Why would I
Especially
drink sugar free? Is the worst thing for you, sugar free.
no, that's an off topic that we'll talk about. Now again, certain sugar substitutes I certainly have some concerns about, but other ones I don't. But yeah, but that's basically you might as well just drink straight sugar if if you're doing the real thing. But mine would be all right now. And now again, this is changed over the years. Like I said, you can never go wrong with
Mm-hmm.
a steak. Right? Give me a ribeye steak, medium well, okay, with some those really thick potatoes, mashed potatoes, the ones that got the garlic butter in them, with the skin. Don't take away the skin, but
Thank
put
you.
keep the
Finally,
skin
somebody
in
agrees with me.
there and whatnot. And then if you want to give me some stir fry veggies or something like that, or grilled veggies or whatever, that's a good one. But if I had to, the one I would used to say for years, I want some fried chicken, some baked mac and cheese, some lima beans,
Mm-hmm.
and for dessert, I want some strawberry shortcake and I want a Coca-Cola.
Why
Now,
Coke?
me, I've always loved Coca-Cola. I've had all back in the day. They used to have all kinds of 4C Cola, RC Cola, all these different colas. Coke is still number one with me. And as of late, I only drink Coke Zero. I don't drink the regular Coke. Just because again, just because the high fructose and the sugar content. And it's like if I try to have a regular Coke, it's almost like I'm almost trained I can't have one. So it's either Coke Zero. I don't drink Diet Coke, but Coke Zero to wash all that all down would be like my birthday meal, my ideal um, meal. If I had one more, it might be. And my wife got on this a couple years ago. Let me get some oxtails with some butter beans. That's a great meal also. So again, a steak meal or oxtails, you can hook me up with that. But that's classic soul food meal: fried chicken, baked mac and cheese, some lima beans, strawberry shortcake, and a Coke Zero. I can leave this earth happy with that knowing that that's my last meal of the day, and I can die in peace with that on there. But for grooming, it is the gyro, the Greek gyro with all the tzatziki sauce on there and all the trimmings, and with his Mountain Dew, and he can die happy also. Um, but yeah, this has been a fun show. This is it's, but I think where the gray area for us is that again, food goes so much beyond just the substance. Again, I'm all for eating healthy. I'm all for don't overindulge in anything. I'm all for you know uh, treats and rewards. Eat well. I adopt an 80% attitude. Eat well 80% of the time, and then that other 20% of the time, eat whatever you want. I don't think any food is necessarily taboo in and of itself if you're doing it in moderation,
Horse
and
control.
and you and not only that, but also again exercise and build up a demand for certain food stuff. So I'm all for that. But I think the gray area that I'm discovering here is that how food unites families. That when you break bread with those you love, I think that that gives a certain dimension to humanity that I think everybody can agree on. That that goes just beyond the food. That's why again, when you get together for your family gatherings and whatnot, don't be so anal about what's being served. If it's Thanksgiving, it's okay to go off your diet. I know you might be a hardcore athlete. Now, look, if you got a competition coming up the next week or something like that, and you got to keep your weight down because you're about to have a major event where you can't eat that, I get that. Especially now they got athletes playing football games and doing all this kind of stuff all year round now. So I get it, but again, don't be so anal about what's being served that you forget the larger meaning of what it's like to to be able to break bread with one another. I think food is one of those things that even across cultures, because just as Grooming said that he would certainly be more than happy to invite us over to his home and cook us a meal or whatever, we would do the same. Now again, because he's a chef, I'm always worried when a chef comes to the house because I never I always feel that my food will be critiqued more so than anything. But certainly the fact that he would invite us over to his house, and I think that's one of the things that I think we can use to build bridges. You know, we divide over so many different things in this world, over race, over culture, over religion, or whatever. And how much better off would we be if we could simply learn just to share a meal with someone
And I
and
think that's what we
really,
forget sometimes, bro. I'll be honest
yeah,
with you. Like, forget, like, I know this is not a true way the American, came to the country, but the fairy tale we always learned was the Indians invited the Americans to the table and had dinner.
right,
That's how
right,
America started.
right.
Penguins or whatever they were called. Um,
Yeah, the pilgrims,
eh,
yeah.
yeah, penguin. But we know that's a myth. But that myth build communities, or houses, and families
Mhm.
over a myth.
Yeah,
Why it has to be a myth? Why can't we make it reality?
right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's something, and I think just the whole idea of just opening your home to another culture, another person that you can take that opportunity to learn from someone else, to learn about someone else in terms of how they do things. I mean, what better way to do that is over a meal? So definitely, and I think that has been done over time. I remember listening to a football coach. He was talking about how football, how football is like this been this great unifier of men. And one of the things why football works so well is because you got black city kids inviting country mountain white guys over to their house for Thanksgiving dinner, and vice versa. I mean, like I said, you're talking about building bonds. I mean, these guys have been raised to hate one another for whatever, and the fact that, hey, why don't you come? You're in college, it's Thanksgiving break, I can't get home or whatever. Hey, come to my house, and you got white guys for the first time having soul food or whatever, or you go to a black guy going to someone else having Italian food for the first time or whatever it is, and how that food can literally unite people who aren't related to each other in any kind of way. So again, I think it takes a lot. I think it takes a special person to invite someone to your house and offer to break bread with them, or even if it's not to your house, meet at a restaurant, meet at a common place, to have a have a dessert, have a coffee and a piece of cake or whatever it is. But the exchange that can happen over a meal, over that, I think it can do a lot to alleviate a lot of these stereotypes that we have about one another, and then we could just be people. We could be relaxed, and we can just be, hey,
And if you really
we can
think
be
about it,
human
Paul,
beings. Yeah.
if you're single and going on a first date, where are you going to take somebody? At a restaurant. So you're going to sit down and talk to her or talk to him. It
Well,
depends.
actually, that's kind of it's changing now, right? I mean, we hear like for our generations, yeah, but for a lot of the Zers and whatnot, like dinner for at least not for a first date. Like now, it's like, okay, look, we meet for coffee, but
I get it. But my
but
point is
it,
trying to you sit down and have that
but
conversation
I'm
over
saying, but
coffee.
back in the day, that was your first date. Look, I
Yeah.
want to take I want to take you to dinner. I want to take you out. I want to take you to a restaurant. I want to take you to a movie or go dancing or what I want to do, these things with you.
Mhm.
That was like first base was to have that meal. But now people are kind of so
Mhm.
scared of one another. Say, hey, let's just meet for coffee and just let me see if I like you or whatever. And
You know
so
what it is?
again,
Because
you may
dinner
not
is
get to
expensive after all.
dinner until like the third or fourth interaction.
Yeah, dinner it can be a little pricey too, and you don't want to spend all that money. And it's just I really don't like her. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it like that personally, but I see where they're coming from.
Mm.
So anyway, you want to call it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, great show, good show. And I told David, this never came up in the conversation, but I said I had possibly one insult for him. One thing I give credit to the Africans, they make some awesome rice, especially jollof rice is something that a lot of African cultures have. There's almost like a battle of competition in terms of who makes the best jollof rice. I got to tell you, I had some from Sierra Leone, the best jollof rice I've ever had. so for the Nigerians, no disrespect to the Nigerians. I know that's sacrilegious, that's blasphemous to say that Nigerians don't make the best jollof rice, but the Sierra Leones, they can put some rice down, man. So hopefully, David, don't hate us for that. Don't hate me for that. But
That's all you, man. That's your war.
that's what I was saying.
Don't involve me.
Don't hate me for that. But shout out to the Sierra Leoneans who've made the best jollof rice I've had so far. So, but with that, again, good to be with you guys on a Sunday. Again, enjoy your work week and be safe out there. But again, I am Mr. Bennett. He is Grooming and Reviews, aka the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Paniotis.
This is Sparta!
And this is the gray area. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. God bless.
I think he fell asleep again.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. This happened like
Black David, are you there? Black
wake up. He did this a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he might have stepped away for a minute. So
anyway, hope you have a good week. Bye.
Yeah, Information Man, thanks again for stopping through, man. You're always coming through to come on and see us again. We appreciate when you, Lost in Translation, when you guys come through the show. It really makes it it's an honor when you guys come out that you value the content. So we appreciate when you guys stop on through it for any segment of the show. Appreciate you guys.
So David, anytime you want to kill it or be a mute, one of you guys. Do.
I know, right?
Yeah, let me call him see if he's awake. I know he was like,
we can go into unless we can go to this is the after hour show. We want to go
I
to the
think
after
so.
hour segment. Oh man. All right, bro. Well, I think I'm just gonna sign off.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see if we can get him on the phone.
All right, sounds good. All right, I'll see you guys.
Can you end the show, please? All right, bye. He's ending it right now. CFO. I'll wait till he ends it. So I keep you guys a little company, honestly. But I'm gonna get out of here too. So see ya.